Welcome to the Create Today podcast. I'm your host, Karen Stanley, certified rapid transformational therapist and hypnotherapist. And my passion is helping women heal from the past and learn how to create the life they love one day at a time. And this show is all about how you can do just that in any area of your life that matters to you. Health, finances, business, or relationships. I believe that everyone's story matters because every story can help someone else. Thanks so much for being here. My guests today we share the same maiden name, at least my maiden name is Knudsen. It's Dad Knudsen. His name is Benny. He's a retired colonel, Air Force colonel, and he happens to be the young age of 86. And my mama is Willa Knudsen. She had 11 children, and they are both superhumans, and I have been so excited. I usually don't have any notes at all. When I do these interviews, I never have questions ahead of time. We just have a conversation. But today, I have a lot of questions. And so I'm so excited. I'm so glad you guys are here. This is a blast.
Here we are. Glad to be here.
Oh, my gosh. Okay. So I'll have Mom answer this first. Well, it's a two-part. Mom, well, both of you, did you always know you wanted 8,000 kids?
Quite 8,000, but I was willing and ready for whatever came along.
What did you originally think? Like when you first got married and you had a vision of your family, I mean, you wanted a big family, right?
Did.
What did you define as big when you were 19?
Don't think that far.
You didn't?
Just one by one, Lord, and they came.
Really? And so as the years went by and you decided to keep adding to your family, what's the reasoning, or what was the feeling about it?
Who in their right mind would have 11 children? I've heard that so many times that comes to the top of the list.
That's what everybody thinks. What's your answer?
Awesome kids. And so one by one, they helped each other, and that just happened. And yes, I knew what was causing it, basically. But I was willing to welcome them all and any strays that came along. And they did, because the other kids had strays that came to the house.
True.
We often had extra people at our table, and as we went on walks, we picked up a few more extras, and it was just a good thing happening. And I was well and physically capable, and that was a blessing.
It's true. We always had tons of people, tons of friends, tons of people in our house, in and out all the time.
It was Jenny Sandoval that said, some people don't lock their doors, but the Knudsens don't even shut their doors. That was a friend.
That's so true.
Why bother?
Wear out the hinges.
Yeah. It's so foreign for people. Like I don't even have a key. Did you even have one?
That I knew.
A key to the front door? No.
Not in San Antonio.
No. Who knows where it is?
Air Force housing, we had keys. But
yeah. You probably had to make a new key for the person who bought our house.
I have no
sure
idea.
You didn't know where it was.
They probably made it.
And those people are still living there. That's interesting, I think.
Oh,
the Talbots
wow.
are still there.
The right? San Antonio house, you sold it what year?
2000?
We left it in 2006. We left.
What?
No. We sold our house in 2000, I thought, in Las Cruces.
Oh, Las Cruces?
Yeah.
Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
That's where we went.
So what year did you go to Las Cruces?
98.
98.
Yeah, because I did 2 years of high school band in Las Cruces High School.
Right.
So I remember those 2 years. Okay.
98.
I
Okay.
turned 60.
Wow. And the family who bought our house in 98 still lives there.
Still there.
Wow. That's a long time. So what about you, Dad? Did you think going into marriage, you guys are 21 and 20, 19 and 20?
No, I was 23, going on 24 in 2 weeks.
And then Mom was 20.
It was 20 and a half.
And a half.
See, yeah, we're
Don't
about like
forget
little
the half.
kids. We can measure the half.
Yes. So important. Did you know going into it that you wanted to have a large family?
Absolutely not. Had no idea.
No.
No, well, just this nice lady. And so first one helped us theoretically with a draft deferment, but, 'cause in those days the draft was all over the place. And And I joined ROTC also to help avoid the draft and that sort of thing. So
Wow.
So we had first one.
1962.
And by that time, when he was born, when we got into the Air Force, he was born in 62.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, you're born. Yeah,
No,
wedding
62.
in 61, and then Mike was born in 62.
Graduated from BYU in 62 and off to the Air Force in Washington, D.C.
Wow.
USAF band.
So they had a draft going still for Vietnam?
Yes, all the way, yeah.
Wow.
That didn't change until the congressman decided they didn't want their kids drafted. So they changed it and turned it to an all volunteer force with higher pay.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I
So that
I
changed,
agree.
I don't know, somewhere in the 70s.
I think congressmen's kids should be drafted first.
Right. Well, that was, it might be.
Well, that's a whole nother subject.
Probably true.
Oh, man, that's incredible. What was the hardest challenge? Just speaking of having 11 children, it doesn't seem like it was really that difficult or stressful for Mom, but I don't know if she just hit it well or what, because I only have 2 kids. You know, I had nervous breakdown every other day. How did you do that? But what would you say, what was the hardest challenge, would you think?
The varied levels of all the kids was challenging to keep up with what this kid was capable of doing, and personality, how that fit with what he did, because everybody helped doing things. So your job had to fit you, and your school had to fit you, homework, and your books you were reading. I tried to keep up with the reading and encouraged reading all the time. And kids knew that if they were sitting down with a good book, they probably wouldn't be bothered to empty the dishwasher or run the vacuum because they were reading a book. That was pretty
true.
safe haven.
That's true.
But the different levels, and to figure out what matched each kid, because no matter what the age, it didn't always match because it was the kid above or the kid below. So the variation was a challenge. You don't want to overload a kid, but you want them to be challenged, and that was the challenge.
Yeah, you have a baby, and then you have a toddler, and everything in between. Then you got high schoolers, and everybody has different stuff and different talents and different things and commitments. And yeah, that's true. I never thought of that why we read so much. Then we didn't have to do chores.
It worked. Well, we didn't have TV, and we didn't have phones. We didn't have screens. So
I always tell people in Virginia, the one TV that we had was down in the basement, and we could always hear the footsteps coming down, and we run out the back and turn off the TV.
Hit the back door.
Oh, we did. And I think you knew we were doing that, but that's why you came down the stairs, so we would skedaddle and get outside.
Didn't have to make an issue out of it.
She was brilliant. Brilliant. All I have to do is walk down the stairs, and the kids go immediately outside to play. What about you, Dad? What do you think the biggest challenge was raising 11 children?
She was so adept, as it's in her DNA, motherhood, and nonplussed, I think is a word here. There's nothing that bothered her. I don't ever remember her crying about any problem or something. It was always, that's not a big deal. Just forget about it and go on to the next thing with the kids and so on. So it was just amazing. This lady, and so. And I was, I tried to get something going with each of the kids. Is they some kind of a project? For instance, the tree house in Virginia,
most epic tree house ever.
That was Jenny's, and that was up in a couple of pine trees or oak trees or something. We put up there. Actually a roof on it that was waterproof, but we had it open this side so we could see what's going on.
Smart.
from the house side.
Yeah.
And then I put the ladder on the tree up a ways, so you little guys couldn't get there. But you looked at it and said, "Oh, fine, let's get a chair." So you'd get a chair and go stand there, and then you could get up in it too. You see, so
challenge accepted.
Anyways,
we lived up there.
I probably didn't succeed in having a project for each one of the kids, but it was kind of in my mind. All right, let's get one. We need something to be going on here. And, of course, I was all tied up with Air Force band business, concerts and parades and tours and encores and all that good stuff. But when I came home, it was very important that I was a dad for them. And I remember when I came home and you were small, you would come to me and I'd grab you by the 2 arms and jump up high and then down and up high and down. And that was, you were jubilant when I came home. As I recall. Yeah. Anyway.
I was standing at the window.
So, but hey, she gets all the credit.
But what do you think is your biggest challenge? What was challenging about it? It wasn't easy.
About the kids?
Yeah.
I don't recall any big challenge other than maybe trying to make sure they all had something with Dad.
Yeah.
That was probably as close as we can
so
come.
many hours in the day.
Well, that's true. And then I come home, I'm gone a few days on TDY.
Yep.
TDY is temporary duty for, which means business duty in the Air Force. Temporary duty away from the base.
You have to travel.
So I was TDY quite a bit of the time with the band on tour. And I would bring. I think I brought something home normally for the kids. Yeah, they had the sense that there was some stability in this guy that came home and called our dad. Yeah,
yeah. Even though you traveled.
I don't recall. Finances was a kind of a thing. We never had any more money than what came in. It all went out and then some on a credit card. But
I know
that manages to work out, and it did over the years and so on. The toughest one I think financially was when we had several of you older kids that got college age. Now we had about 3 college finances to pay, for tuition and so on. And
yeah,
a little tough.
That was tough. We made it.
Yeah.
It worked itself out after everybody left the house.
Yes.
You finally had 2 nickels to rub together.
We have a buck or 2 now. I know. Not 3, but a buck, but 2.
It took a minute. Now that your youngest is 37. Oh, I know. I can't even. I cannot imagine that part.
I agree.
Even though you made a great living, there is non-stop expenses, non-stop everything.
Right. That's right.
Insane. I can't even imagine. I mean, just having mine is like, whoa. You get more and more expensive the older they get.
Well,
2 kids in college and 1 on a mission was challenging. Then you had 2 in high school and 2 in middle school and 2 in elementary and 1 at home. There was plenty of outgo.
Yeah.
And one time in San Antonio, I told the girls, one of you are going to be in charge of the Christmas dinner, of the Sunday dinner. Mm-hmm. So you make up the menu and let's go get the stuff and so on. Turned out to be it got too expensive, so I just kind of let it expire and didn't tell anybody.
No.
Or maybe I did. But you remember that?
That was the best.
Yeah. Okay. I lamented that I couldn't continue that, but it
Great
was
idea.
Too much money.
Becoming a little expensive to buy. Whatever we bought, whatever was getting. It was
sometimes
with her, we're beans and rice or something.
Spaghetti
Not
and ramen.
Spaghetti.
Yeah, because it fed 1,000 people for $5.
So I asked her sometime recently, what did we eat there? And we don't remember unless it was beans and
good beans on the stove
and stuff. I don't know, good stuff.
Yeah,
okay.
That's what Mom would say.
And it was plentiful, and everybody liked it, and you could come get it and feed yourself and go on to your job.
And then I also had a barbecue, and so we had steak rather frequently.
Twice a year.
Once a month or twice a month, something.
Yeah.
Well, we had birthdays constantly, so we had something to celebrate.
Birthdays, and I did well with the T-bone. I'd go order T-bone steak, 1.5 inch, and those things were foot long, foot big, and whatever. I mean, they were huge.
They're porterhouse, weren't they?
Porterhouse. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're massive.
Yeah.
And I ate the entire thing. Even when I weighed 60 pounds, I ate the entire thing.
Yeah, they were.
It was amazing.
Yes, they were.
Yeah, it's our favorite food. It's our favorite food.
One thing that was helpful was the day-old bread store.
Oh, that's right.
And you could get all kinds of donuts and sweet rolls and goodies that we wouldn't ordinarily buy, but they all came in a big box. This was day old, and you shove it in the trunk, and everybody would go help themselves and have their very own box of donuts.
Oh,
and
heaven.
And there's the funny element to this. I went to the bread store, was just outside the base at Lackland Air Force Base in Texas, and I would stop, and now I'm in uniform, the colonel, and this nice lady was there and buy some bread, and I noticed that she had paper barrels full of over-dated bread, loaves.
More than one day old.
Well,
We called it used bread.
The used bread store.
used bread store. Yes. So I said, "What's that for?" Well, the hog farmers, they come in and they get all this. We save it for them, And in there they had, I liked
Rye bread.
rye bread was in there. Why are you going to feed rye bread?
It was
to
Mrs.
hogs?
Baird's. It's a Texas
Holy
thing.
smoke, And so, yeah, that's what we do. So this lady now quit, and now here comes another lady, and she was, I had a word for her. She was terrible.
Bitty.
She was somebody.
A bit challenging.
Somebody
Nazi?
incarnate. Anyway, she wasn't nice. So I went in there one time, and I said, I picked up what I want, took it down there, and I says, I'd like to. So maybe it was the first day I saw her. So I'd like to buy a barrel of that bread. Oh no, well, why not? Well, the farmers come in here for their pigs. Do you have pigs? Yes, I have pigs.
Lots of them.
11 of them.
She knew darn, spelled D-A-M. She knew darn well that I was not truthful here, but she didn't dare challenge me because I guess she could see the bird kernel. I don't know what it was.
Yeah.
So she very growled. She
how would she
ground
know?
her teeth and went over and got a barrel. All right, take that one. So I took home the barrel of.
I love how somebody's mad at you for buying stuff. It's just the weirdest thing.
I took that whole barrel
Of course
home.
I have
We
pigs.
we had.
How would she know? You might live on a farm just
Well,
because
but
you're.
she's
It's
told
like
to save it for the
shush.
the pigs. Those hog
Yeah.
farmers. They dig it, so it's their
Yeah.
food. And it's cheap.
Yeah.
So anyway, so we pigged out at home on all that good rye
Oh
bread.
my gosh. The best thing ever was when there was sometimes was the little pies, like little cherry
Yeah,
pie,
right. There was other
those
stuff.
little things.
Right, pastry.
It was like
Anyway.
heaven. It was the best day ever.
Oh.
Whenever
But
you went to the
she
used
was-
bread store.
She was speechless when I said, "Do you have pigs?" Yes, I do. She was speechless.
More than you can even imagine.
She knew the conversation is over at that point because
Sorry.
what's she going to do? What? Well, how many do you have? And no, it ended there.
It's hilarious.
And I didn't find another one, but that was enough. So
We were excited about those.
Okay, anyway,
The day old bread and the day old
there was
pies.
another time when at the H-E-B store, the guy was getting more grapes in crates, the green table grapes, than they needed. So they ended up with several boxes high of they couldn't sell them, and so they marked them down. So I would go in and buy the whole 5 or 6 boxes of grapes, and I'd bring home all these grapes. And I did
We
this.
eat them before they went bad, or did you freeze
I
some?
think so, or you help.
We probably froze a few, but they
Whatever.
didn't
But
last.
that was
We
we took advantage.
Scarfed them down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oof. Such
And
a treat.
There's even one time when we lived in California. Our neighbor was a guy who had a machine that cleaned the parking lots for the grocery stores. But he discovered that the groceries were throwing away lots of outdated food in cans in the cans. What do they call
It's in the dumpster.
The big
Dumpsters?
big
Dumpster.
dumpster. Yeah. This is before the grocery stores have made them differently, so you can't do that. So he says, "Hey, you ought to go down and see what's there." So I did. I went down there and I pulled out cartons of food.
Wow.
It was thrown away. It wasn't garbage. It was sealed stuff. It was
Right.
It was everything in cans, from peaches to green beans to corn and whatever else. And
Yeah.
so we had some free food there for a while. Well, then we got. There was a tag that went with this that if you do this, you're called a Dempsey dumpster. What is it?
Dumpster diver.
Dumpster diver. And so we said, we brushed it off. Oh, phooey. Nobody saw us.
Right. That was brilliant.
It was, what is it? 2 days old or something? 3 days old?
It's
Throw
totally
the whole-
fine.
There was a lot of it there. Now the grocery stores won't let you come there.
Yeah. I don't know
anyway,
what they do now,
so
but this
that was-
is
Well, they have
that
food
helped.
banks.
78 to 80.
That's right.
Yeah.
2 years there, and then I went to I got called into the Pentagon.
Then we went to DC. Man, that's so crazy.
I had while we're on that subject, I pretty much had a choice whether to go to the Pentagon or not. Do you remember the 2 reasons I accepted it? One, I could go there and I would have a chance. I'd have a clean shot at making bird kernel, and I wanted my kids to have the Washington D.C. experience.
Man, did we ever too. Oh my gosh, it sounds crazy right now, but I mean,
come back
we
to this
used to
and
go. We'll come back to this, but we used to.
So Julie taking her sisters downtown that story is coming up.
Well, let's just tell it now.
Oh, okay.
Oh my gosh.
All right, here I am in the Pentagon. And so now we've already gone downtown, and I know what is that? Independence Mall.
Yes.
Where all the statues and all the stuff's on, and this thing is a mile longer. So I tried to walk it a few years back. And
so just to set it up.
Okay,
this
set it
is
up.
in 80
Oh,
something.
80 to 85. I was in the Pentagon.
Right. So the first time is probably only 80 or 81.
Something
right?
like that.
I am 6.
Yeah.
Just for context.
Uh-huh.
That means Jenny is 9.
Right. And
Julie is 11.
11. She was the chief of that event.
Did Marilyn come? Or was I the youngest?
I don't know.
I don't think Marilyn came. Okay.
I thought there was whatever.
Did Sally come maybe? So she might have been 14?
Most likely.
I feel like Julie
Sally
was in
not
charge.
there. No, Julie
was in charge. Okay.
Julie was the commander.
So we ride into D.C. from our house.
Yeah.
You get to the Pentagon.
I brought them in my car, parked, and then I got on the U-Bahn. What's it called in Germany? It's called the
Autobahn, the freeway.
The tramway.
There was some sort of tram in D.C. only, but it didn't go to our house.
It does now. There's a word for it, but I can't think of the English
Metro.
word. The Metro.
Okay.
Yeah. So it was only 2 stops away from the Pentagon to get to the stop to get into the Independence
Smithsonian.
Mall.
Okay.
So I rode with them over to there and showed them how to get on and get off and so on. And okay, now you can get back on and come back on. And then when you get back over to the Pentagon, come in and have the guard call me. What's the big deal about that?
We didn't think it was we thought it was the best day of our lives.
And you didn't get accosted, you didn't get kidnapped, and so on. But you could, And when I came back, so I took you in. So when you came to the Pentagon, I took you up to meet my boss, Colonel Hendricks. Colonel Hendricks, yeah, that was his name. Nice guy. Nice guy. And he says, "What did you do? What did you do? You let these kids go by themselves to Independence Mall? Well, why not?
Right.
They're survivors, or something." He didn't like that at all.
So he couldn't even believe it back then.
Yeah.
I mean, now CPS would be called on you, and your kids taken away from you. But
you'd be in the
you'd be in jail. But back then, I thought it was I remember getting the Metro card. I remember getting hot dogs from the hot dog stand. I mean, I remember so much. I was so young. We thought it was the best thing in the whole world. It's so funny.
So I was a good dad in those days, I think.
Oh my gosh, it was the best. And then we got what's the chocolates that we love?
Fannie Mae.
Fannie Mae's.
Yes.
At the Pentagon.
Okay, shall we go into birthdays and Fannie Mae's?
Heck yeah.
Okay, so here I am in the Pentagon, and they have I forget what they call it down there. It's kind of an outlet. They had a name for it.
Those kiosks.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they did have a Fannie Mae booth down there that sold Fannie Mae's, and they were probably made that day or the day before or whatever. So we got kind of so I'm up there working away at my whatever, I'm managing the Air Force Band program, and this, that, and the other, and I'm looking at my clock, and I said, wait a minute, it's 4:00 and I haven't bought anything. We have a birthday. Karen has a birthday.
Was I the first one?
I know. I don't know which
someone's
one.
birthday.
But anyway, they'll recognize you. You're the monitor here. So.
Yeah, it's true.
So anyway, so somebody has a birthday. So, oh, golly, I got to do something. So I go down there real quickly and buy a 3-pound box of Fannie Mae chocolates. Take it home, and then we'd have the birthday, and probably Willa had some gifts of some sort. Surely she had something.
All kinds of treats. And
the kids
But
took
the
care
Fannie
of
Mae's
them.
became...
my gosh.
I can't find a word. Not eclectic, but historical, and so also that got me started.
That's our tradition.
Yes, every time then, if I didn't bring home Fannie Mae's at somebody's birthday, I was probably ready to be exited out of the house or
just
something.
Turn back around. You're not welcome here.
Get out of here.
Without chocolates.
Go get us some gummy bears somewhere. Anyway,
they were so good
that
too.
That was it.
Yeah.
Oh.
We cut them in half so that you knew what you were getting.
That's
which
right.
is brilliant.
Besides, it was small enough, but rather than a whole one, but it didn't look very pretty after we got through scissoring them.
I know.
So.
But then we would know exactly what we're eating. I still do that. I drive people crazy. Or I'll just smash the bottom of it. Like, what the hell? Why are you doing that? Well, because I want to know what's inside.
Can't tell.
Now they have like a whole thing. You have like the whole, legend that tells you exactly which one is which one.
Yeah.
But back then they didn't.
Yeah, we just, hey, ooh, this one's.
Lemon.
Anyway,
My favorite was the dark chocolate.
That was a good family tradition at the time.
It was the best.
Family traditions are very important.
One of my favorite.
Yeah.
So, before my next question, I want you to tell the story about how you were dating somebody at BYU before Mom, and you found something out that was very important to you that led you to make another decision. You found out that she couldn't carry a tune.
Oh, yes. What's her name?
Oh, what's her name?
She had a nice Ford. She came to college with a nice Ford.
Oh, she had a nice car. That was it. She didn't have anything else going for her. How did you find that out, that she couldn't sing?
I could hear her.
In the car, or she was singing along to the...
You take a date and go to church,
So she was singing hymns next to you.
If you're going to impress this girl, you got to go to church. Otherwise, she don't want you.
Right.
I'm not kidding, but I'm making it.
No, yeah, no.
But if I get at church and I find out she's singing... God bless America. Na, na, na.
No way.
No, she could not carry a tune.
There are some people that cannot, and that's amazing for any. She
was really a nice young lady, but that did it. I was not going to have this. I've been criticized for this statement by some of your sisters. I would not get interested in her because I would have kids who couldn't carry a tune.
It's true.
I mean, that was what I thought.
Yeah, so then you broke it off with that girl.
Well, that was somewhere along the line.
Yeah.
That was
just hilarious.
Sort of right after I got home from my mission. So there's 2 years. I'm at BYU before I decided I'd had enough of this dating business. And who is it that's best to fit me and motherhood?
Well, that's probably the best decision you've ever made.
Yep, it was.
Hands down. Everybody will agree with that one.
Oh, yeah.
So they meet in the band, but I want to know, my question is that why was music so important? So, Mom, I want you to answer first. You played the French horn, you met Dad in the band. Did you also know for certainty you were going to start all of your children on piano at age 5? It's not like pre-planned or premeditated, it just was like...
I took piano.
Yeah.
Because we had a piano.
Yeah.
And that was a skill that I could pass on to my kids. And that's what parents do. You pass on what you do.
Yeah.
And so then I started getting some students, and we needed to do some recitals. So we went to the assisted living places with the students. But my kids needed others to compete with piano skills, and the assisted living place was right down the road, and they loved the kids.
They loved it.
And so it was a group that you don't get just by 1 or 2 kids at home. So we had the piano, and we had Nancy's piano for quite a long time.
Who's Nancy?
Nancy Keeley's mom.
Oh.
Because she was moving and didn't have any room in her apartment. Oh. But that was the extra piano
in San Antonio.
In the front room.
Oh, I never knew that.
Baysden?
Yeah.
Well, yes, but Canada, Baysden. Yeah. And then our Yamaha
Liz has
the old Yamaha
that we bought in Japan.
And then we had the Yamaha keyboard on the dining room. Mm-hmm. And they were all 3 going at one time very often, and I could hear you all and yell at you for not flatting a beat,
count out loud,
or slow it down, or count it out loud, and it just
name the notes.
Yes, sing the note names.
Quit crying.
And,
go ahead.
And it was Brian that was on the keyboard more because he loved all of the little buttons that gave you the rhythms and the yes. So he would play his hymn with all of this great extra
drums and
percussion,
for
fiddles, the whole works.
That was fun.
Then he would record it, and then he would just press play, and then he'd take off for the backyard. And after it had played a few times, you know that it was on automatic and not on kid. So but he was mowing the lawn, and that was his job. So he wanted to get his lawn mowed while he practiced at the same time. multitasking.
Killed two birds with one
And he grew
stone.
up to be a lawyer.
It's hilarious. So wait, so in Japan, when you bought your first piano, you didn't have a piano before then?
We did.
We had one in
We did. It was an upright.
Illinois and in
We had one in Washington.
You just didn't move it?
Washington,
I guess you
D.C.
didn't.
and
You
Illinois.
wouldn't.
Yeah,
we moved to them.
You didn't move it. Okay.
Old clunker we bought for $15.
Oh, they were
And then
great.
you left it when you got stationed in Japan?
Yes, his state.
Or sold it or whatever.
stateside.
Sold it. Okay.
Somewhere. I don't think we
That's when you bought the new Yamaha. And then we had that my entire life. And then Lizzie still has
That's
it.
when I had it. It came in a wooden box, and little Sally got out there, and she got in the box and couldn't get out. So I went out there and videotaped her.
Oh my
That
gosh.
was,
I got to pull up those
Help,
videos.
help.
It's so tall.
Yeah.
And so even with Mike, you started them on piano at the same time? Like even when they were 4 or 5 or whatever? You started all of us at 5,
yes.
5-ish.
5 is a good age. You can count.
Mm-hmm.
So you can count lines. And you can also count the size of the notes, whole,
Mm-hmm.
half, quarter. So whatever you could do, but everybody could do the 5 fingers up and down. And that was a challenge for some. Not with my kids, but I've sure seen students that struggle with that to get any kind of dexterity. And so that was where you started. Yes, and Mike and Bruce started. And Bruce would be practicing away, and the bus would come, and he would grab his shoes and run out the front door.
Did he miss the bus like I did every day?
I wish I had some video of that because he'd off the bus and he had a
my
coat and it wasn't buttoned. So here he was flopping the coat out the back and just running like this.
And why he waited till the last minute, and why I didn't get him off and stand him on the front porch, I don't know, but he...
And I saw this one. Let me butt in here. I saw this one time. She's pushed him out the door. He's headed to it, and I thought, well, I look back at her, and she's just nonplussed. So yeah, that's Bruce. He'll make it.
He usually did.
He usually did.
He could walk if he couldn't catch the bus.
It was close enough to the school. Oh my God. We could not. Not in Virginia. We were not walking that.
No, that was another
We were
story.
the furthest away from the school, I think, because I was always last to get dropped off.
You didn't have a bus? Didn't you have a bus?
Oh, we had a bus, but I missed it all the time. And I could not walk to the school. That was too far.
Yeah.
Our driveway was
it's
so
in
long.
a
I couldn't
know.
wait in the house.
No, not in the snow. It was freezing. But we were at the end, and so she always had to turn back around. She was so mad at me every single
really?
time. Every day that I missed it, which is every other day. And I always thought I had more time than I had. But she had to turn around anyway, and she had to come back and pass our house again.
And we knew
She'd
that.
just scowl at me, and she's so mad that she had to stop because she's
One
not
more
really
stop.
supposed to. And then I had to cross the street, and it's wrong. It's all wrong. The rules are wrong. It was really funny. So, but it's funny because my interpretation is, you definitely wanted to marry somebody with musical ability.
Sure.
And it seemed to me, because you taught us how to read and read music at the same time. I tell that to people all the time. The same year, and I think I was before 5, is I went to obviously kindergarten at 5. I already knew how to read.
Yes, you did.
And so as you were teaching me English and music notes at the same time, and we always had to play piano. I just felt like it was more like premeditated. Like we are going to have a musical family. You guys didn't talk about that or discuss that?
Not really.
You just winged it, and all of us know how to play the piano now?
She did all that. Well, I wanted you to play an instrument.
Any instrument was fine. Okay.
Well, no, I wouldn't say
No?
that, but no. I got you on cello because
Yeah.
I really like cello. What a magnificent sound.
It is.
Cello and viola and oboe and flute and English horn are the greatest. And
your
French
favorites.
horn are the greatest things in the
French
world.
horn, Mom.
Yeah, French horns, you get them up here on...
Mike played French horn.
Get them soaring up high, and even in unison, there's no better sound. Anyway,
Did you think we'd have a band if you got one of each of us?
no,
so
I
we'd
just
have a
wanted
band?
you to. Just wanted
want
you.
us to
I
learn.
grew up in bands, and I just wanted you to grow up in bands and orchestras
Why?
because I did.
Huh.
Why not?
Because did you have a lot of fun? When you were playing? I mean,
Well, of course,
you played a lot of fun music back then. Wasn't
In
classical music? It was
in
fun.
Junior high and high school.
Yeah.
Well, I started out. Well, I went through several instruments in junior high and high school. I played violin into my sophomore year, but I never did like it. I played it because that's the only instrument we had in our family. My dad was a fiddler, and they couldn't afford an instrument, and that's a whole other good story, how I got into saxophone. But, excuse me. And then I remember started trombone, string bass, and tuba, and just, this was not my thing. And, while I was in grade school and a little bit in high school. But when I got to saxophone, that's it.
That was fun.
You want that story?
Yep.
I was playing now, I played violin in orchestra, did not like it. I didn't take it home and practice. It was just, okay, that's it. So I played it all the way through junior high, got into high school my freshman year. And, now I'm in the high school orchestra. And I never did do this, on the how you're supposed to do this so you can get up into the third and eighth and ninth position, and I just wasn't interested.
Well, Grandpa didn't either, but it didn't stop him from playing.
No, he didn't need to. You didn't need to play the fiddler and the hoedowns and so on, and I played guitar with him and so on, and that's a whole new story. That's a good story. But anyway, to get back to things less nauseating, always trying to bring up something that's funny. Anyway, so. The summer between my freshman and sophomore year, my friend there came out to visit me one time in Farmington, New Mexico, and says, "Hey, look, I just bought me an alto saxophone." "Oh, you did?" And he opened it up, showed it to him. "Well, what are you going to do with it, "Well, I've already talked to Mr. Turano, our band director, high school, and I'm going to be in the band this fall." "Oh, how is that? I thought we had to start in junior high before we could be in the..." "No," he says, "come on in."
Boom.
That did it.
You didn't have to start in junior high.
So I did this. So in no time, I went and talked to him also, Mr. Toronto, and he says, "All right, we can go up to Durango." His friend was the music man, music business, what do you call it? Music what? Store in Durango. And
Durango, Colorado?
Durango, Colorado. It's 50 miles away.
That was the closest store?
They were good friends with him. They were just good friends.
Okay.
So he was bringing the business to him. I didn't know this at the time, didn't care. So I go to my folks. I say, "I need $125 for a new tenor sax."
So much money.
Whoa. In 1950, you put a zero on it now, which is the inflation rate. And I don't think that's quite it. Mike is telling me that's not it.
Not even close.
You can't buy a tenor sax now for much less than $4,000.
Yep.
Maybe even $5,000 and $6,000.
Yeah.
So anyway, that was it.
However, a lot of money.
I had an ace in the hole. A couple of years before, when we first got to the fruit farm in Farmington, we tried farming, and we picked peaches and sold them if there was a trucker and so on. And about the third year, they said, "We've had it. We don't want it." I was 13. I said, "All right, I'll take the crop." So sure enough, somehow a trucker came along, and he wanted some peaches. He wanted a truckload of peaches, so I hired the neighborhood kids to come and pick. In those days, we had the bushel baskets made out of wood, the thin wood. You may or may not have seen those. So I'd pay them 25 cents a bushel for picking peaches. And so we filled out a truck, and when we got through, I think we got $100 or something, which was...
A random truck came by and wanted an entire truckload of peaches?
That's
about so wild.
Well,
it was fruit country. It was harvest.
They would drive around and let's find somebody that's got peaches for. I think we had a sign out, peaches for sale.
Yeah.
So sure enough, and so that was wow. Yeah, and so we would load him out, and we'd get about $1 a quarter or $1.50 a bushel. So now my folks had that money.
Wow.
So here I am. It waters my eyes, so I'll try to get through this emotional. But anyway, so now I am probably one of my 14 years between my freshman. I'm 14 years old, and I guess that was 2 years ago. Now, I never got that money before then. I didn't want it.
You gave it to them.
It was, yeah. That was the family farm. So I said, well, I pointed that out. Well, you had some money from the peaches, and so they finally said, "Okay, we'll buy your horn," with one proviso, that you don't get started and quit.
Well, there you go. Did you plant those peach trees, or were they there?
No, they were there.
You bought the property.
We bought the property in '47 on that one and only famous 1947 trip to Yellowstone. We came back through Farmington to visit with my dad's brother, Christian, who lived there, and they decided this was really a good place, and Marvin was getting a little carried away in high school, Mesa High School, with some friends who weren't really good friends, And so my folks were a little concerned about that. And plus, my dad, who was red-haired, they would pitch the hay down in there to the dairy, and he was red-haired, red-skinned, and he would always have to wear a hat. He wore a hat almost all the time. And so that was to get him out of this valley of the sun, out of the sun down here. So then that's what got us to Farmington.
Well, that's where we get our fair
And it was a fruit farm, probably 10 or 15 acres of peaches, and we had plums and pears and apricots, and we planted corn and had cows and hogs, and it was an amazing farm.
How many acres total did you have?
About 35.
Wow, that's my dream. There's an apple farm for sale in Arizona. You want to buy it with me?
Oh, absolutely. I want to hire you to run it.
I want it so bad. That'd be so fun.
So anyway, that was how I got a saxophone.
Wow.
So then I started. So I got a teacher. Well, the string teacher also had, he was a music major in college, so he knew how to teach saxophone. So I took some lessons that summer, and got in the band on tenor sax in the fall. My junior year, I was playing football, and the football and band was about the last hour of the day. So I didn't have much band to start with because I was playing football, and then when it was over with, then I got into the band, and I never got a scratch playing football. But the first day in band, I get this black music stand. Wouldn't come up. I needed to get it up, so I gave it a big old plunge. It came right up, hit me in the nose. I got a bloody nose. The first day in Japan.
In band, it's dangerous.
That story couldn't be made up by a good writer.
Yeah, you can't make that
Anyway,
up.
so then that got going, and then it keeps going on and on. I got going, and I started a dance band, and we ended up playing dances for money for $5 each, and so on. That went on. Then I had to have clarinet, because in those days, Glenn Miller and Tommy Dorsey and those guys, they all doubled on clarinet. You play along so far, and to say now change to clarinet. It would be 4 or 5 or 8 measures to rest. You put down the saxophone, pick it up. And so I decided, well, okay, fine, I'm going to play clarinet. Well, when I get to high school or get to college, no, we don't have a major in saxophone because they didn't say it out loud, but we think it's an evil instrument.
Right. Because
just look at the people, look at all those guys in the studios in California.
Yep.
Those guys are all on drugs.
Right.
They're saxophone. Okay, all right. They didn't. That changed.
No, but it was. That was the beginning of dance.
I was a clarinet
like the dance band music,
Okay,
which we would call big band now.
Yeah, the big band.
That's what we would call it now. No one would think that now. That was a long time ago.
Stage band, and now it's something else. Whatever. It's I don't know. Whatever. Okay.
Big band.
Okay. I've dominated here. Let's see what your mother has to say.
Mom, how did you choose the French horn?
They needed one in my little band.
Oh, really?
And the school
in high school
had one. Yes, in high school.
And you never played before, but you played piano before.
I started on clarinet because Myrna had a clarinet.
Oh,
I didn't know that.
But
I've never heard that.
When they were putting together a band with a new band director, and it was a very small group, but Mr. Brandt did a great job, and I loved the sound, and they had one, so that was easy.
That's funny. Myrna played the clarinet. Where did you get the clarinet?
Purchase for
They bought it for her because that's what she wanted.
3 years ahead of me in school, so she was established.
And she already had given it up, or she already had a new one?
She played it all through high school, and she played it in college, and that Ben knew Myrna in the clarinet section at BYU.
Aha.
But when she was playing her clarinet, I couldn't be in the same band with the same instruments, so the French horn.
They needed a French horn.
Worked for me, and we had a good French horn quartet that did very well in their competitions in the little towns around.
Gosh.
Well, because Mr. Brandt was a French horn player.
He was so great. Oh, so he was a French horn player.
Yes.
I've met him, and he was one great character. One great person.
He did well with the kids. High school kids are not always everybody's.
Well, when did you start playing piano?
3rd grade. That's when we bought the
Did
piano.
Granny know how to play the piano, or she just wanted you to play? I didn't think she knew.
No. But she had a fiddle behind the couch that she hoped that we would learn, but we didn't have an orchestra person in Wardsburg.
Oh, my gosh.
But we always had one there, and Papa played the fiddle, and her brothers played the fiddle, and competed and played guitar out on the ranches when they got together every weekend.
Right.
And her Aunt Nanny's the one that played the pump organ, to accompany, but Aunt Nanny could do some good chording. So they had a little music group going on. So music was there, and Pa always wanted to do music. And he tried lessons in his 80s and decided, no, this is really not for me, because they had that little organ in Lordsburg and in Las Cruces, and you wouldn't remember that, but they bought it especially so Pa could do that. But the old Acrosonic must be in Sam's house somewhere, that was purchased in 45, 46.
No way.
And it came from El Paso, because that was our big shopping place from Lordsburg. That was 160 miles away.
Yeah, the only place that had.
One
One second, Dad. So you got your first piano. Your Granny and Pa bought your first piano, an actual piano, when you were in third grade, and then there was a teacher in town that came over and taught you, or did you go to their house?
Went to Mrs. Dockham's, and my first lesson was "Where is Middle C?" I don't think it was beyond that. I think that was all she thought I could handle.
It? Okay, bye.
And yeah, it was a short lesson, I guess. And then we traded. We had a couple more lessons, just people in town. Well, actually,
wow.
The one teacher taught in the Methodist church right across from the grade school, and we had time release for Mrs. Godfrey's piano lessons. It was a charitable thing, and she was a member of that congregation, so that worked. And so I would trot over there to her.
Oh my gosh.
Lessons. And she was a dear. And then we started going to her house, and it was a quarter a lesson.
Wow.
And did it go up to $1? Did it start at $1?
Oh
but
my
it
gosh.
was pretty stable. So with my dollar in hand, I went off to my piano lessons. And
for how many years did you take from her?
well, probably 10.
Really? Wow. And then you started French horn. Just high school, freshman year.
French horn was high school, and through high school I played piano too. And there was a change of teachers because Godfrey's moved to Tucson. But
did they have band scholarships at BYU back then? Did they have music scholarships back then? I don't think they did.
If they did, I don't know.
You didn't know about them?
No.
You didn't audition? You don't remember auditioning or anything?
Anything about that, no. They might have given them to the seniors.
Oh, they do not like giving scholarships to freshmen. I don't know if that's different.
And when I was a senior in college, didn't even
nobody
cross
said
my
anything.
mind at all.
Gosh, could have gotten your school paid for. Did you know about any scholarships at BYU? No.
The band parents awarded a $100 scholarship to the magnificent winner of the graduating senior. Got the $100 scholarship and a band scholarship, a summer band program over in Las Cruces was another week, and that was another little scholarship from the band parents. But no, I don't think there were scholarships for freshmen music, not for BYU.
Wow.
And and if you were outstanding, that's another thing. I wasn't so.
We were on the quarter system. My tuition for the first quarter was $30. Unbelievable.
That's unbelievable.
Now it's 30,000 or something. It's staggering.
Right.
Yeah, but it's gone up. It went up every year, every semester.
It was just a few years ago.
Things have changed.
But here's a little bit of a connection to the Myrna playing clarinet. I went on my mission in 57, came back in 59. Or did she come? When did she come to school? Is she a year
57.
Older? So she came.
Or 56.
Yeah. Okay. Before I went on a mission, she and I were together and side by side in the. Did never heard of her.
BYU.
But we were side by side playing clarinet in the concert band in BYU. And then I'd go off and come back, and I guess Myrna's we were still in the band, and she shows up at a rehearsal after rehearsal, and then it occurred to me that this lady I've been sitting next to, I'm dating her sister now.
Wow.
Kind of interesting.
That's cool. Myrna's so awesome. What are you most proud of when you look back at your life? It doesn't have to be one thing.
Well, first of all, this lady here, she's my star.
Yep.
And her accomplishments and her wisdom. But then to support all this, I ended up with a rather remarkable career in the Air Force as a band director. Mm-hmm. And I had a couple of tough goes at it a couple of times. I almost got fired. Matter of fact, I did get fired after my first job. Been getting fired in the Air Force, you aren't really set out, now you go work for the grocery store. No, they move you somewhere else. And then if you don't ever get good enough grades, whatever they are, then they'll give you a date of discharge. In other words, you can't. But they just moved me over to someone else. And that was a smaller band, and that gave me a chance to do something, to find really what I was doing and learn and so on. So it was a blessing in disguise. And a couple others then on down. But still, all the bands, I have six or seven stateside assignments, 2 overseas. One was Germany, and in the Germany band, we got around almost all of Europe, including the British Isles and Ireland and Scandinavia, 2 Scandinavian countries and 1 North African country, and a couple of communist countries in Eastern Europe. So
crazy.
Just so you just can't. One of my big concerts in Germany was in of all things, the Berlin Philharmonic Orchestra, Philharmonic Opera House.
Oh my gosh!
And I stood on the same podium and conducted. It was a combined concert with the Berlin Police Band. And it was a big deal, full house. In Germany at the time, the full house was almost all gray-haired women because many of the men were killed in the Second World War. And here they are, they all grew up without husbands or whatever. Not all, but, that was the idea. Many of them, gray-haired folks.
So many people lost
By
their
then,
husbands.
this is in the 70s, 75.
Yeah, 70.
They're now 50s and so on. Anyway, but... so here I am standing on the same podium as whoever the great Philharmonic, I can't think of his name right now, director of the Berlin Von Karajan's podium. We called it a standing on holy ground. So
seriously, that's a big deal.
Those
People
kind of things, and
that musicians might not realize that.
And Albert Hall in London, many places, so on. So, and then, the Pentagon, and I advanced in rank and got in the Pentagon and was able to I made 06, we call it that's the bird colonel, and gave you all that interesting experience there of the Washington D.C. area, and then back to Texas another 4 or 5 years and retired and got me a job in USAA. The agreement was, if you give me a job, Mr. CEO, I'll organize a band of employees, and I did.
Yep.
It's still going. I call it my legacy. After 35 years, it's still there, and there was a couple of other band officers that followed me in that job. So anyway, but hey, the big accomplishment was the family. This lady over here is responsible for all of it and all the work.
If you had to do it all over again, would you choose a job where you didn't have to move every 2 or 3 years?
It never even occurred. No.
I mean, it was such a great career for so many reasons.
No. We know that we have met many people that are astounded that we moved every 3 years. Moved everything? Well, no. So what?
Blows people's mind.
So our kids, your older brothers, would say, "Where are we going next, Dad?" It was
an adventure.
Adventure, yeah. Hey, Ryan, and the kids say, our friends here who've stayed in Utah or Arizona or wherever all their lives, wow, but they had to make new friends every time. Well, of course.
Yeah.
Hey, wow. And I remember when we moved into our house in San Antonio, Kristen. Well, we'd walk out and say, well, there's some new people moved into this house. Said, stop a minute. I want to go knock on the door and see if they have a kid that I can have a new friend. That you can't. That was.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
That was the attitude amongst you. You know that because you moved too.
Yeah,
So what?
I knew that I needed to make friends.
Yeah.
And I wanted friends, then I had to go introduce myself to people. I had someone ask me the other day, is that because, is it always easier for you? Like, is that just your personality because you're so outgoing?
Too.
Or is it because you moved around a lot? And I'm not sure the answer. Is it because we moved around a lot that I had to become outgoing? Or was I always outgoing so it was easy? I don't even know. I don't even know which comes first, the chicken or the egg.
You were the most delightful young lady that came to us. Yeah.
Well,
thank you.
But
everything was fun and smiles and so on. You weren't the only one in the family with that, but we're talking to you, for now.
Yeah.
So
thank you.
And then you would go,
sure.
do that would make more friends at school.
I did. Yeah. I remember being intentional about it, though. I don't know anybody. We're going somewhere new, and I got to go. Hello. Hi, I'm Karen.
Yeah.
Can I come over? Basically how it went.
And I had to learn that.
Oh, okay.
I grew up on a farm.
A little bit of both,
Shut up, get on the tractor, and go dig the ditch, and go hold the corn. Well, we had some friends.
You were cheap labor.
It was long ways away, and we saw them on Sunday at church, and okay, fine. And we had scouts and that sort of thing.
Yeah. But,
it wasn't like, I never lived in a town, never lived in a city.
Right.
Not in my home. Not till I got to BYU.
Mom, how was it for you moving all the time? Was it felt like an adventure for you?
Yes. And I think when you're only going to be there a few years, I wanted to get all that I could from this location. It's different. And so we went to the rec center and found out what the rec center had to offer.
Yes.
And you learned to meet your friends, and a number of them were also Air Force. And that's a friendship making right there.
For sure.
You had that much in common to begin with. So that part was easy. And wherever we went, there were Air Force people.
You mean the rec center on base? Or just in general?
And the city.
Okay.
San Antonio.
I remember going to the rec centers, but they weren't on base. But I don't remember Germany, and then obviously I didn't live in Japan. I wasn't born yet.
Well, in Japan, they had a great ceramic shop. And so our little guys went there. And so whatever there was available, we did it. And they had tennis lessons in San Antonio. So we did tennis lessons.
I remember that.
Did dance. And so you load up the station wagon with a bag full of peanut butter sandwiches.
For sure.
Off to find out what was going on. And if you knew you were going to be there forever, it's a whole different mindset. But for a short time, we better work at it.
That's so interesting, because you already knew it was only going to be temporary, so you wanted to see everything and do everything that was right. That kind of
put it off. You don't know.
Kind of made you really find everything, like soak everything in every city that you were in. That's amazing. I've never heard you say that before. That's really interesting.
We read the newspapers, and then they put out ads for the rec center, and your neighbors around. Your next door neighbor was playing soccer.
Yeah,
and Jenny was the only female on her soccer team.
Oh my gosh!
In San Antonio, and the guys were not very kind to this invader. And besides, she was new in the neighborhood, so how dare you? And but she was good, and she knew she was good, and they did too. Was the reason it bugged them so much. What was it she said? She had to come back.
I'll have to ask her.
And she may not remember it, but she was put down, but she was the one that had made the most scores. So she brought that up just in case, but and she fit in. She made herself fit in when you're good and you know it and you stand your ground, and you had to. But as the new person on the block, you usually had another sibling around to back you up on that, but she was on her own on that one. But I don't think they ever got a female, and I don't know that she really cared. She played well, so we did soccer. And we did the basketball, and these were rec center things at San Antonio.
And then we found out they gave you free lunch when you went during the summer.
They did this summer.
Some kind of, it was a sandwich that wasn't peanut butter.
It was
amazing.
The Democrats were in charge that year. Free everything,
Yes,
higher taxes.
It's free, costs nothing. That was awesome. I loved it. And we played Connect 4 every day for 10 hours a day. However long you left us there, I don't even know how long it was, but we played Connect 4 all day. I could smoke everybody by the end of the summer.
Oh,
I probably still can.
So good.
I was. I'm not sure if I was. I beat everybody.
There. We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Wow. Okay, so of all of the places you lived, is there a favorite place? Did you have one place that you really enjoyed the most?
Mine would be Germany.
It was Germany. Oh, why did I have to be so young in Germany? Don't remember any of it.
May I go back to it? Something in Japan.
Oh, yeah.
Well, you said we wanted to learn about their culture.
Yeah.
So we would get on the train and go down, and this one time I went down to a kabuki theater. That's an amazing thing. It only takes 6 hours for those guys to get out there and snarl at each other.
Is it really 6 hours long?
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And the most boring thing I've ever been involved in. And sorry to you folks out there who are Japanese, but so we sat through, I think, 2 to 3 hours of it.
No.
And what traditionally now, when the really going gets really good down there, the Japanese in the audience hollers out something. At the time, the phrase "sock it to me" was very, very famous, and I wanted to holler out "sock it to me."
Oh, but you did not.
But I did not.
They would have kicked you out.
Uncharacteristically silent. So anyway,
how many kids did you have with you?
None.
All of us? It was just you two?
We didn't take them downtown.
We might have gone with another couple.
Oh, okay.
But anyway, I remember that we endured 2 to 3 hours and say, wait a minute. This thing is going nowhere, but we now know what a kabuki theater thing is.
Right.
So anyway, so on another day, we went down to the Ernie Pyle Theater. The band played and so on, and we had the Pontiac station wagon, and they don't have any space in Japan. When they park their cars, they put a jack under it and jack it up, and now park them close together, like this. So your doors don't open up and so on. And so that's how they park all the cars underneath the theater. So we also had started Japanese language classes.
Yeah.
So so I knew the word for second story. Nikai. Ni is two and kai means story. All right. Nikai. So anyway, so we come out to get our car, and it's up there. So they're pulling out a few cars ahead of time with the big jack, this kind. Mm-hmm. They're pulling them out. So when they pulled out ours, I looked across the alley, and there was a 2-story building over there that was flat on top. so old Benny, always trying to be funny, he pointed to that and said, Nikai, which meant put it over there on top.
Oh, did they laugh or?
Don't get ahead of me here. So that guy looked at me and he says, joke, no?
He knew those two words.
Joke, nah. They know some, they know. Some of them know some. Joke, no. You really serious? You Guy Jean, you American?
Guy Jean is American?
Guy Jean means American.
That's hilarious. Yeah. So. And what city was it in Japan?
Tokyo.
It was Tokyo.
On the way in, we stopped at an American officers club down there called Sano. The Sano Hotel Officers Club restaurant. Go in and eat. And okay, what are we going to order here? I had just, I'm still trying to be funny with my Japanese language. Well, I want a lemon Coke, so I pronounce it the way they would. They don't do L's very well. Mm-mm. So theirs would be Ramon Coke. Mm-hmm. So I said, okay, I would like a Ramon Coke. So she wanted whatever she wanted, and so he brings it out, and I taste it. It was warm and different and nothing I ever tasted. And I said, well, what's this? Well, it's rum and Coke.
This is the first time you ever tasted alcohol?
Absolutely. I've tasted beer, so I wouldn't be, I would know how nasty it was. So anyway, I started to give it back to him, and Willa doesn't remember this part and doesn't like me to say it.
You tried it too. I think this is rum. Taste it.
Don't get ahead of me. So I said, she said, wait a minute. No, let me see that. So she took a sip and handed it back to him.
I should have drunk the whole thing.
You should have.
Dumped it in my lap, sure. But anyway, but we were now initiated into the world of alcoholism. We were now alcoholics.
Wow. That's amazing.
Our man behind the camera here is also enjoying
hilarious.
This more than he should.
They've never had alcohol
that is the
before.
Story. Those are,
oh my gosh.
Hey, we had lots of good stories like this.
I know.
You haven't got enough time to get this all. But anyway,
we'll go as long as we can.
Let's go back to your...
That's amazing.
Yeah. Was I telling you, Karen, about how they loaded their trains with professional pushers to get the people on, literally. And you see them in the newspapers.
They did that back then?
Yes.
They had
they
had a board, a log or something, a wood brace thing, this thing, and they would push the people onto the train.
And then shut the door before they all fell out again.
They're all standing.
Literally. And the Americans were so much taller than the Japanese that we could see a whole lot better than they could. They were squished in.
Wow.
One time we went shopping and we picked up a hand of bananas. Must have had 5 or 6 on them. And I didn't know what to do with my bananas because it was so tight. So I just kind of set them on top of the guy next to me to keep them from getting squished.
Oh my gosh.
That was the train ride.
How often did you take the train?
Not very often.
Oh, okay. Just when you went down to town or whatever?
Or when Mike was born, we had to ride the train over to the German LDS chapel.
When he was baptized.
No, baptized, excuse me.
Oh.
Yeah. But anyway, this reminded me of a story that when we were in Washington, D.C., some friends of ours, they had a teenage daughter, and she rode the train to work in Washington, D.C., but she figured out that she was being groped, while because there were so many people, and the guys were groping her. Mm-hmm. So she got some hat pins. That put a stop to it pretty fast.
Good.
Yep.
Jerks.
But it was standing room only.
Yeah.
It couldn't move.
And you can't move. Oh, and also, the Japanese always wanted to strike up a conversation with an English speaker, but they had the British term for it. I'd be sitting there and somewhere, even on a bench, and somewhere, and they'd come up and they'd say, "May I have a word with you?"
Wow.
Yes, you may. Hi, Job.
That's so cool.
Because they
wanted to practice their English.
Yeah, they wanted. So we could talk.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That'd be so fun.
Yeah.
I'm dying to go to Japan. I wasn't born yet, but Mom, what was your favorite place? Do you have a favorite?
I thought about that a lot, and we just had great places to live. And Ben would fly into a place, find a house that had financially, and if it's close to whatever his work and the schools, and it wasn't quite like the internet shopping that we have now. And he would get a house, and we would hit the road and
pack up and go.
It's an amazing story. That's why my bio of us, because it's really us, took 2 volumes of 500 pages each. I wish I had a copy today to show it. But.
I want to go back to Mom and Japan.
Okay.
Were you ever intimidated by being in another country, or does that ever seem scary? Or
no,
you didn't ever hesitate just getting on a train with a bunch of kids and
no, because
nothing's
I was
in English
by myself.
Yeah,
Japanese were safe and courteous.
We were surrounded by American wives. So because we lived in Kantamura, and that's what it was a housing area for the Air Force. And that's where we went to church. We met in a school building at one time. We had primary in the big chapel. And that was interesting. We had a good group of kids, too. And we could walk there, but for the most part, and I had a bike that I would ride my bike around. I'd had Julie on my little seat in the back and Sally in a little seat on the front.
Oh, my gosh.
And then we would just go around the compound and pick up somebody else. Our kitchen windows all faced the front. And somebody would yell and say, well, I'll catch you on your next round.
No
we would
way.
end up with several moms with kids. And then when Julie hit my back, I knew she was asleep, so that's when we would stop for the evening. But that was our entertainment. We didn't have a pool in Japan, a water pool. Well, we did in McGuire, New Jersey, which was a big entertainment for the kids. But they just entertained themselves. They didn't need any other entertainment. And they did ride bikes. And they would go over to the fence and shop for Minko cards through the chain link. Was just about big enough for a Minko card to
way.
go through. And so they'd take their pennies and go over there. And the little shops along the way thought it was a real fun thing with the kids. And the kids thought that was a big shopping experience through the chain link fence.
Why are you passing cards through a chain link fence?
Minko cards is a game. So you give him your yen and
monsters and everything on it. You throw it down, and if you make his if you can throw it hard enough, make his jump, then you won his card. That was the game that was going on in
Mike
the kids.
and Bruce were good at it.
Kids, the military kids at the time, and it might have been a Japanese thing too.
And they had bikes.
Well, Menko's because they printed them, sold them. Well, it was Japanese. Menko, Menko.
And they had bikes, what, Mom?
They had bikes and friends, instant friends. When you're American and you're living in row housing with 4 units, you find, and your school's right down the road. It is an instant
community
thing, yes, with that much in common, and so and it was very safe.
Right.
So I had to know where my kids were, but I didn't worry about where they were either. They had their gates were guarded, and it wasn't very big, and I knew the kids that came around, and they did that a lot of swapping lunches, etc. But that was
Good
a very
old days.
safe place to live with the age of kids. But in California, when we had a huge grove of avocado trees and citrus, every kind of citrus on that big place where we lived. And how old were you?
2 to 5.
Okay, you started kindergarten?
Nope.
No?
Started in Virginia.
In Virginia. Well, and Sally was 12. And the boys were getting up there too in Virginia. And Bruce and Benny were putting together the
3 to
orange
5.
pickup.
We only did California. 2 years was California, right? Yeah.
Yes.
78 to 80.
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah. So 3 to 5.
But it was just a big house on a roaming, wandering hills with all of
heaven.
this fruit. And see, I had to love that. We had a big
We
garden.
loved it.
Never have another place, and yet the house was never not level. I had to walk uphill, so to speak, because it was you walk up
It was amazing.
The hall to get to the bedrooms. It was probably 3-4 inches higher than down to the kids. The guy that built it was probably an 86-year-old guy. Who knows?
I loved it. Did we have pomegranates too? Where did we have pomegranates?
We did in Las Cruces. Those were our very best ones.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
Bounteous.
the growing stuff was always
Had lemon trees.
Always a real
Avocados.
plus for me. You weren't confined. And so as long as you had some room to go, and these kids could do that, they just all over the place. And these houses were
everywhere.
well spaced, but they knew where to go for what. And just a lot of space to roam. And you knew that they were safe. You wondered about snakes maybe, but I never heard of one while we were out there.
We would have just killed it, I'm sure.
Well,
We weren't worried about a thing. We loved it. We're just roaming around everywhere. Are we going to swap it out? Okay, we're going to pause real quick.
but California was a great place.
It was amazing. That house is probably $3 million now.
Well, it certainly had the location.
Somebody that bought it later just overhauled it. And
They probably did. Did you go by and see it?
I've seen it. In the
They
past
did
years.
redo it?
Yeah,
I'm
it's
sure
been
it's an old house.
remodeled and it's beautiful.
That.
Yeah.
Our houses were always great, and we just
So cool.
made them homes. And met the people and knew we were going to be moving before too long. So
And back then, I mean, if you're married to a Air Force man, you didn't work. I mean, everybody was a stay-at-home mom, right?
exactly.
Everyone. So
Yes.
all the moms were home. All the kids were
Yes.
home. You all lived in the same little
That
place.
was a whole.
That's kind of cool.
Yes,
Man.
it was.
It was a good
I wish I
society.
could raise kids like that. I
The
mean, that's
kids-
way better.
Yeah.
The moms in the compound in McGuire, it was set up 4-4-4 and in a big field, and then in the base housing.
That's so
But
cool.
they all knew the kids, and we all knew the moms. Mm-hmm. It was a very safe environment.
Yeah.
And the
That's
kids
amazing.
just knew each other.
Why would you say Germany was your favorite, Dad?
Well, I had taken, when I first showed up at BYU, my advisor, band director advisor, now, okay, here's what you need to have, English and whatever, and band and so on. So we go over now to the department chairman, looks at it and says, well, where's your German? So I don't know, where is it? So I signed up for German. So I had this one year of German at BYU. I wasn't a good student because I was a good studier. I didn't think the first sentence in German was, what is it?
Eins, zwei, drei.
Ich ich gehe nach in die Schule. I go to the school. I thought, well, this is simple. It sounded like English. Ich gehe in die Schule. No, it was Karen and Otto geht in die Schule, something like that. Okay, so Karen and Otto go to the school. So it seemed to me like I didn't really have to study. But anyway, I got through it with C's and D's and so on. But then, come mission time, I didn't get called on a mission to Germany, and so that just all kind of. But then, 20 years ago, we decided to go on a couple mission to Germany. No. I got stationed. Got assigned to Germany. I worked that one. I had to work at it to get that assignment.
Oh, you did?
Yes. Oh, yes.
Oh, I didn't realize that. So you're really pushing to live in Germany.
I was in the Pentagon, and so I knew which levers to go and that sort of thing.
Oh.
And my friend who was in the Pentagon with me now, he was out there, and he was the director of the Lackland Band. And I called him and I said, "Hey, this is your time. If you get somebody else, you can go to Germany. You're first on the list if you want to go." Because I was trying to vacate his position, so I'd get it. Sure enough, he went to Germany, and I managed to get that job. So
wow. But what about Germany makes it your favorite place of all of the places that you were stationed?
I have German, like Willa. I have German ancestors. We have German ancestors, and their name is.
Kaufeld. Fulmer.
Hers is Kaufeld. Mine is
Fulmer.
Miller.
Fulmers.
Fulmers
are German.
Vollmar, yeah. Volmar in Germany, but when they got here, they changed it to Fullme or Fulmer. So every time I run into a Fulmer in Utah, I say, "Hi, cousin." Why? Well, I got the same ancestors. So,
that's right.
So anyway, just the Germans people, and they're a very hard-headed guy, but so what? They're fun and wonderful, and once I learned enough language to kind of joke with them a little bit and so on, then it was kind of fun. And then I played all over Germany with the band. So
amazing.
And we had somebody in the band who did speak German, so he did all the announcing. Oh, guten Abend, meine Damen und Herren. The next tune is America Beautiful, whatever, that sort of thing.
Was he American?
Yes, yeah, he was
fluent in German.
bass player in the band.
No way.
But he had picked it up over the years. Some of those guys, they keep coming back. They'll have a 3-year tour, then go home, and then they put back in to come again. The enlisted guys.
Wow.
A little different with conductors, because we're not very many of us, and so we're kind of
you don't have much choice.
Yeah. So
and how big was the band? How many pieces?
It was 60. It was a 60-piece band in there, and the same thing, 40 concert band, and inside that a 17-piece big band, and then a combo over here that's separate, and so on. So we took care of parties and so on with the combo and so on at the Officers Club for the generals and all that, and then the concert band went on tours. Concert band, and the concert band was the marching band for marches, for parades and ceremonies and festival parades. What are they called in Germany? And in February, it's called
Beer Fest,
Fasching, and the other one, Fasching parades and that sort of thing.
Oktoberfest, that's what I have here.
Those
kind of things. Yeah.
Did you ever tour outside of Germany or just in Germany?
Oh, all over the world,
all over Europe.
All over
That's
Europe.
what I thought.
Yeah. And then sometimes I would go with a smaller band. I'd go to the dance band. We went to Norway. So I just went along to be there and just have fun and that sort of thing, to see what it was. And so I knew what my band was doing. But when
you didn't conduct them when it was a small dance band. They just went by themselves.
Got his chief.
They're so good.
I am.
They're so good.
And he's that was his gig. You rehearse them, you pick up the tunes and find, and that's it. They were great. Those senior NCOs were really great.
They're so amazing. Still are.
And then
all the Air Force musicians.
I went with a combo down into North Africa, and that was kind of interesting because our ambassadors in all these countries, they have Marines stationed to them for security. So then every year on the anniversary of the Marine Corps, November the 10th or 11th, I think what it is, then the ambassador has a big ball and so on, and it's a Marine ball, and he invites all the other ambassadors and the president of the country and so on. So they'd get a combo to go down. So I flew down to North Africa once with the combo just to see what was going on there.
I'd love to be that. I'd love to do that.
So I got into a couple of East German countries. Hungary and Bulgaria and that kind of thing, And that was interesting. They were all governed by the communist influence from Soviet Russia, that sort of thing.
Nuts.
And all that changed, of course, at the fall of the Berlin Wall, that
Right.
period in 89 and 90 and so on. Germany became reunited in 90.
Right.
And that sort of thing. So, but all of that has just been kind of fascinating to me, and the fact that I could speak a little bit of German.
Mm-hmm.
I would even go at it gangbusters now, but I don't have enough time, and it wouldn't do me any good. I could go back there, but I don't think my health is going to sustain that. So,
What
but anyway,
town did the Fulmers come from in Germany?
I used to know that, and we were about
You
to
did go? Did you visit?
We were just about to go the last thing, but by that time we were tired of putting things together and so on. I said, "Okay,
It's time to go.
I knew what it was."
Yeah,
and so on.
I was just
It was
curious.
just a little village over there somewhere.
Did you ever
over by
play
Stuttgart?
Stuttgart. Did you ever play in Denmark?
Yes,
You
yes.
did?
Yeah.
In
There,
Copenhagen?
up there, there's a national park which is dedicated for the Danish American 4th of July celebration.
What?
Yes, because there's a lot of Danish Americans. All that
That came
immigration,
back to Denmark.
all that. Well, the grandkids are come back in. The descendants are coming back in.
Wow.
Because their great grandparents, like us, my Christian Nielsen and Jorgen Knudsen and others, came from Denmark and back in the 1880s or 1850s. And now, so I would go up there and play. The band played there every year. Wow, up there.
That's so cool. I
and
want to go there.
One year, Victor Borga came. He was also invited to come and talk.
Gosh.
And I wanted pictures of him conducting the band.
Right.
We didn't have easy video like we have today.
No.
But I had a photographer that I brought with me. And he just would not listen. No, I said,
Wouldn't do it?
No, well, no.
Really?
I don't think so. And
Really?
He would not do it. No. I don't know.
But
Sometimes.
did he do his shtick on the piano? Did he actually perform for people?
No, he just spoke.
Oh.
He was a speaker, as I recall. No. At the same time, it was one year was a BYU thing. So here comes Janie Thompson with her performers that she taught and had performances all over. And it was the BYU, she had the Indian show, which was called the Lamanite Nation at the time. Now it's called something else because that didn't work out too well with that name. And also, one of the general authorities whose name was Dallin Oakes, who was next to be president when Nelson dies, he was now the main speaker. And the topic they gave him was how to make use of your leisure time. And I just chuckled at that because, Danes,
That's so funny.
they could have come up with something else better than that. But
I guess Victor Borga is Danish?
That's what they did. What's that?
I guess Victor Borga is Danish?
Yeah.
Or is he Swedish?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Oh, he's Danish. I didn't even know that.
He was on Hitler's hit list, but he managed to get out there and get back to go to America. And then he has a whole comedy thing on Hitler.
Oh, I know.
It's funny. Yeah,
It's hilarious.
Yes, it is. Well,
we should pull that up
That's why
tonight.
he was on Hitler's kill list. He made fun of him.
Now I must.
There you go.
We need to watch that again. We need to
Yeah.
find that tonight.
It's worth it.
He's
Yeah.
He's a genius.
Yeah. Oh, he was. Oh,
yes.
No.
Yeah. Oh my
He'd
gosh.
say something in English and it wouldn't quite go out. He said, well, don't blame me. It's your language, not mine.
Marky Peterson.
So anyway,
was a
so that's
guest.
that. The fact that I'd had some English and had some German and studied German, and I was happy to go there and so on. And I studied German while there, and it was just that's my heritage, our heritage, and so it just was good to get back there and see what it is where they came from,
Right.
and whatever goes on, because Germany is a dominant country in the European world. So anyway,
Yeah. And that's where you bought the Bodhi-Doo.
I brought it over.
You
From
bought
the
it in
States.
the
Yes,
U.S. and
yes.
then
I
sent it over on a boat?
I could come back for a band conference somewhere. I don't remember where it was, San Antonio or somewhere. And before then, I had ordered a
Winnebago.
the nice little Winnebago Mini Winnie,
Bodhi-Doo.
just to take over, and so on. So I came back about the time it was finished at the factory in Iowa. Then I took a plane to Iowa, picked it up, paid them. It was only $14,000 total, I think, at the time, and I had $10,000 left over from the sale of the house in Georgia. We really did fine with that sale of that house. We paid anyway. So I then drove it all the way to New Jersey, put it on the boat, and then flew back to Germany. And a month later, it showed up in Bremerhaven up there.
Crazy.
And a couple of guys. Oh, and Sally now says talks about this story. You know, I wasn't invited to go, and I just pleaded with. I think is that right? She just pleaded with Dad to. I want to go up there, and so. And I've heard her tell the story just recently. So we went up there and we had chocolate bars and so on, and to pick up the thing, you know, everything's an event is a lifetime event. You know, kids will remember stuff. You do, you do so.
Oh, for sure.
That's my attraction to Germany and their culture, and yes, they are tough and rough. You know, I asked my barber over there one time, why do you Germans get to arguing with each other all the time? Or not all the time, but I mean, why is that? Why do I hear that? Well, we aren't really angry. We're just trying to see who could outdo each other.
Oh my gosh, we're just so thick-headed and stubborn. That's hilarious.
We're just trying to, and we had our building was being refurbished for us. So here comes our engineers, and here comes the German engineers that worked for us in Germany. And so those two guys, and even in the meetings, they would get, you know, how come you didn't put in the, but anyway, I could see it there. But so what?
That's funny.
They're nice people.
I know, it's funny what you remember.
All right. Anyway, we got more we got more stories than you got time. But anyway,
I know.
This is wonderful to be able to recount them. Okay, go on. She needs to.
I was just wondering about your most memorable family trips. We've been on so many epic trips.
So many.
And even if you have more stories about the Bodhi-Doo, I mean, it was an RV, and I called it Bodhi-Doo. Did I come up with that song? I just started singing something, or Julie was started singing. So
I thought it was.
We all called it the Bodhi-Doo for whatever reason. But, you know, I don't have memories of all of those castles and all those countries that we went to because I was just 2. Okay. But I've seen some of the video, but they're not my memories. I've seen the film.
Let's read your 2-bar ditty. Let's sing the 2-bar ditty.
Okay.
You got it.
Do ride, we are in the Bodhi-Doo.
That was it. That's our theme song for the Knudsen traveling in the Bodhi-Doo.
And we sang all the time.
It was so fun.
Oh yes, and I was into Almond Joys at the time. They were this big, you know.
At the time.
You've
been eating them my entire life.
Is that right? Well, anyway, so I bought a bunch of them and took them with us, and I told Mike and Bruce, you know, no, you want some? I will give them to you. So we went down to Switzerland or somewhere and came back and so on. I'm cleaning out the Bodhi-Doo, and there's this mattress up in the front part. And I pick it up, and there's all the wrappings from all the all the candy that they had snitched. I just laughed at it.
You never realized that they were gone?
No, not till I
just like one at a time. They were smart. They were smart.
Yeah, they just stuffed it under there.
Sneaky little bastards.
He will never find
it. They're so funny. They're
yes,
hilarious. Yeah. What's your favorite memory, Mom, from our millions of trips that we've been on? Does something stick out?
To name a favorite trip, we went to Garmisch, and that was gorgeous, and Granny and Pa were with us.
And where's Garmisch?
Up on the mountain in Germany.
In Germany, okay.
Down towards the Alps. It's the Alps side of Germany. Alps mountain, Germany's got half of the Alps and so on, so German Alps.
Okay.
And that was Hitler's stuff down there. He had his big mansion, big stuff in the mountains up on the top. You had to go up and he had the big ski run, and now Americans had it because the Germans didn't want to mess with it. It's Nazi stuff. Leave it alone. Let the Americans use it. We don't have to deal with it.
Yeah.
And we just used it for years.
Okay, so you went to Garmisch.
The little kids stayed in the Winnebago, and they would go out and play, and their mittens would get wet, and then they would go on the rack in the oven, and they would eat while their mittens got dried. And
was it winter? Was there snow on the ground?
Oh, yeah, Christmas.
Okay. It was Christmas, okay.
It was a skiing.
Okay.
Christmas.
Go ahead.
Yeah.
And so we had stashed gifts around. It was an interesting change for Christmas, and I don't know how Santa found us exactly, but I don't remember that story, but it was a few days. And then we went down to Italy, and it was 70 degrees, and because you were kind of a change from
right on the Mediterranean.
Arizona.
Oh my gosh! Do you remember where in Italy?
used to know the name because that's where we gassed up, is at American depots.
Oh.
Italy.
Why American depots?
That's where the gas was affordable.
Really?
Yes. In those days, you could not
$1.
put $5 in a big station wagon of gas.
I don't know, 50 cents a gallon, something like that. I don't know what it was on base. Off base, it was a couple of bucks or something, and that was way out of budget.
You could not put $5. What do you mean?
$4 and change would fill up your tank of a big station
seriously?
wagon. And we had a big station wagon.
Wow.
And I had the Germans put another tank under that thing, so we could buy a
Winnebago.
lot of gas, and then we could drive. When we did drive to Normandy Beach one time with all that gas. It messed up my gas gauge. I didn't ever know what I went out of gas.
Oh, crap.
Because one of them just drained into the other one.
Oh, no.
And the Germans at this station where I had them working, building it, they said, "Wait a minute, we can't do that. You can do this. We'd have to have approval from the German government to put this gas tank in. You're modifying your car." I said, "Well, but I'm military. I'm American, and we don't care." All right, so they built another gas tank the size that'll fit in there, and it was another 20 gallons or whatever.
Wow. That's amazing.
I just had to watch the miles.
Right. Figure out how many miles two tanks will make.
Yeah, I just had to watch the miles
Find
because
the
the gas
petrol
gauge was
station.
never right after that.
Oh. So this is where you stop for gas in Italy.
Yes, and to wash the Winnebago.
It was muddy.
But it was lovely after coming out of the snow. Just the contrast was, so it was definitely
Amazing.
memorable. It's Christmas, and the kids were out of school. But the roads were not all that wide in some places, and the Winnebago was. And I pulled out of a place, and the big overcab knocked some shingles off. But that's the only accident that we had that I'm aware of. And so we replaced some of the big, they're on our house in Gilbert.
Tiles?
Tiles, yeah, they're curved, and
I'm not sure.
We took care of that. But one time on the beach in Italy, not far from Rome, and we went to the Leaning Tower Pizza, and we clipped a watermelon stand, and there was cantaloupe.
Oh, my gosh.
We had a lot of cantaloupe.
This was not far from the Vatican.
Oh, my gosh.
Vaticano.
Oh, the Vatican was a great
And
trip.
the Vatican. And then we get out, and we had Howard Lunt and they had her parents there.
Earl.
And we pulled up beside this roadside stand on a street in downtown Rome, probably several things and cars whizzing by over here. Pulled up right close to it. This guy had, an orange crate level wood, built out of. He had a wooden crate there. All these funny watermelons on, looked like a road map. Those kind of watermelons and stuff. So as we bought some cantaloupe, Howard Lunt bought them. And we got in thing, and I turned the Winnebago a little bit too far, and it had this great big old 4x4 bumper on the back, sticked out a little bit, and it caught that and just raised hell with. It just went hither and gone. And the guy came out screaming at us, so on. So I stopped, and we went back and we picked up gave them back to him. The ones that were broken, Howard Lunt promptly paid for them. We got in the van and took off. Dang Americans. That's a funny.
Oh, I don't think
Did I get it right?
That was a feast. That
Oh,
we weren't
my.
anticipating.
And then you had to eat them right now.
We had a lot of broken cantaloupes. They were just cracked. What the heck? Big deal.
Fine, yeah.
Then
just eat them by hand then.
May I tell a story about going up? So then we went up Anzio Beach. That's a very famous beach.
Oh, yeah.
Big thing for the Second World War. I have my mother's
Nephew?
well, Aunt Lottie was my aunt.
Yeah.
She married Willa Knudsen, my dad's brother.
Got it.
Right. Her brother was killed there at Anzio Beach. And so that's why I didn't want anything to do with the military, because it was drilled into my head. Don't join the Army because you'll get killed.
You get killed.
Well, what are you going to do?
It happened all the time.
From 5 to 12 or 6, 17. So coming back and joining ROTC, you darn tootin', I'm not going to go into ROTC. I just want the draft deferment. So anyway, there was this one lane road, and the rest of it all just sand. and then you park there, and you walk about a football field over down to the water. So I pulled off and left one side of the driver's wheel, left one of the wheels on the blacktop, and then the other one in the sand. Nobody's here, so I can now get back on this little one lane lamp thing out there, and so we come back. There's cars parked all over the place,
everywhere,
and one right in front of us, and one in back, and there's a little Volkswagen right in front of us. I am not proud of what I did. No, because I didn't leave us. No, I got paid for it here recently. But anyway, so when he pulled out, that same 4x4 van hit the front left fender of Volkswagen and just shredded it.
Oh, no.
And I went back and looked at it, and this is going to be a mess. And I unfortunately said, let's go. Pulled out.
Yeah.
it was rather
You could have been there all
complicated.
day waiting. There was no cell phones back then. I mean,
No.
what are you supposed to do?
So have you seen this nice new red car I bought?
Yeah.
You know, guess what? I got paid back.
In what way?
She went. I was recovering 2 or 3 weeks ago with that virus baloney, really a mess. So she took the new car. We'd had it a week, parked it in the church, and we didn't catch it until that afternoon. I got to go to a place to get some grapefruit for the next whatever grapefruit. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, I noticed that somebody had put a dent in our front fender. Mm. So I got repaid.
Karma.
And did not leave a note.
Yeah.
So I've called USAA, and good part about that is that I found out that I had $500 deduction instead of $1,000. I thought I had $1,000 all these years, but apparently I cheated.
Well, that's good.
So anyway, all right, what else?
So,
I liked.
did you? And you went to all of the castles. You know, did you go to the Loire Valley, or just the castles in Germany?
Up and down the Rhine.
Right.
There's
So
lots
not
of-
the ones in France. All the German castles. Okay.
No.
There were
Just in
wonderful
I played
cathedrals.
in France. It's a very famous thing. I can't think of it now, but I played concerts down there.
Yeah.
That's the one where.
That's what I
That's the one where
wish I would have seen.
we went there to play. It was the year of the 200th year anniversary, 1978. Bicentennial. So we were playing bicentennial concerts all over Europe. That was our thing.
Everywhere.
And so we got down in Strasbourg. Is what it is.
1976, bicentennial of the
that
United
year.
States.
That year,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that year. So we go to Strasbourg and get all set, and we go to the big auditorium and set up and so on. And comes time for downbeat at 8:00, I tell the guys, get out there. So we go out there and get ready to play, and the French come out. No, you don't start, because they only had 20 people in the seats or something. Mm. And I said, well, no. Here in France, we don't start on time. You don't? Well, I do. No, don't. Okay, fine. So I had the guys get off, and 30 minutes later, they said, okay, now you can back
Filled
out.
up the house?
Audience was full. The house was full. It's a custom that the symphony orchestras and the concerts and probably the plays and the operas and all that did not start on time. At least that's what I learned. I don't know whether that's across the country or not, but we did.
Wow, that's amazing.
And Willa was there. You were there that one too, weren't you? Yeah. I have a good story about the band going to Berlin. May I recite that? Went to Berlin. It was about the last week of our whatever. Maybe I've already said about. Well, anyway, so we went to Berlin, and I've told that story already. But now, Mike comes back. Well, I went to Berlin with a band. That was a band. But when we drove, we did different things. We also went over there and got up on the platform and look over to East Germany. It still looks like bombed out Berlin, so on. But anyway, so we took the family there, did that with my folks had come over, and then came back. So now Mike is telling this story to his friend at school. And his friend said, how do you get to go to Berlin? We can't, because my dad works for the CIA, has too many secrets, and the military, the government won't let him go over there. If he gets captured, he'll be tortured, that kind of stuff, by the East Germans or the Soviets. And Mike said, so Mike came back and told me this story, and he tells me this is what I said to him. I now, when I tell the story, give him the credit because it doesn't matter. So he says, no, I came back, Dad, I came back. And so I came back and I talked to my dad, and my dad said, well, he's a band director. And so we can go to Berlin because he's talked to the chief of staff of the Air Force in the Pentagon, 4 stars, and he's assured the general there that if he were in Berlin, if he were ever captured and tortured, he would never reveal the secret clarinet fingerings.
Did he really say that?
He said, I said it.
That's hilarious.
Yeah, and I'd forgotten about it until Mike brought it up here a year or two ago.
Oh my
and
gosh.
that is the greatest. See, our man is chuckling too over there.
Oh my gosh. Clarinet, top secret.
That's
Dad
my
promises
that's
not
my
to
crown,
disclose
crown
them.
story joke in my lifetime is that one. And now when I was the guest conductor of the Utah Army Guard Band for the big concert in the Tabernacle a couple of months ago, they have an annual big Veterans Day concert. And then so I had to go rehearse the band. So I would stop and tell them a war story occasionally. And this was one I told them. And of course they just guffawed over that.
That's
I looked right at the clarinet players when I said that.
He's so smart.
And
what kid? He was how old?
Mike was probably 12 or 14.
What 12-year-old kid would be able to come up with that? I mean, that's hysterical.
Well,
that's
he can. Mike,
so smart.
Well,
yeah, I know.
That's Mike.
Okay.
He's got.
What are a few things about your life or experience that you've had that are hard for people to believe when you tell them, and you kind of don't believe actually happened to you? When you look back, like, besides all of it,
where to start?
What would you say is really hard to believe?
That we weren't all killed.
Seriously.
Yeah.
How did we all survive?
We didn't go over a cliff.
A thousand different times, a thousand different ways.
The story about Julie.
Yeah.
I didn't realize she'd fallen down the well and the bus out by the pond. And
oh my gosh.
We left 2 or 3 kids at gas stations.
here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Julie.
Yeah, I know.
She didn't know we were gone. She came back and was still looking at the gumball machine, trying to figure out how to get something. And we've been gone 5 minutes or so.
Not long, yes, but long enough.
And the name of that little town it's the same name as a movie star in the 40s. Anyway, I'll think of it. Mm. And then we went to a BYU game in the San Diego Stadium, and little Lizzie wandered off.
Oh my gosh!
If somebody had caught her, we'd have never heard from her.
You would have never seen her again.
Oh
my gosh!
But what did I say? Do you remember what I taught you? If you ever get lost, what are you supposed to do?
Stay there.
Right.
Yeah, we knew that. Stay there. And
she did.
She did.
She went. Found a
guard.
Found somebody that was what do they call them?
Usher.
Yeah.
It was an usher.
An usher there. She went and stood by him.
Traffic management.
And then somehow we got word that
and then you went back.
that was. Yeah, I didn't even want to think about that one. Ugh. We could have lost her.
Yep, for sure.
That's it. So, okay. So,
Mom,
what was the question? Go ahead. More answers.
Nothing really that.
What was the question?
what is something that happened to you, or is just something about your life that's just kind of unbelievable to people, or unbelievable to you? Or it's just hard to believe, like when you look back on everything, I mean.
Well, the numbers.
Yeah.
What was.
The numbers of children?
Mm-hmm. How do you? Well, but everybody was responsible for everybody. Mm-hmm. And one thing that I've noticed is that when I talk to my grandchildren, sometimes they just kind of ignore me. And I tell you, when I talk to you, look at me. Mm-hmm. And boy, I had to do that with my kids too. And when they called on the phone, no cell phones, I had them identify themselves because I had several people out. And I needed to know for sure who you were, and I wasn't going to take 3 seconds to figure it out. Mm-hmm. So that was one coping.
Yeah. Before caller ID, we had to say, Mom, it's Karen, because we all sound so much alike.
Yes, you did.
All voices are so much alike.
Yes, and I could tell eventually. Yeah. But I didn't want to take the time.
Not when we were teenagers.
When I needed somebody, I would yell the kid's name, and anybody around in hearing distance was responsible for telling me he's not here, or I will go tell
go
him.
get him. Yeah.
Yes, and you will answer. If you hear me, you answer, I will be right there.
Better answer.
Give me a minute, or I'm coming. But I don't think kids figured that out. But that was an absolute necessity. I couldn't go find you and talk to you. You come when you're called.
Yep.
And that's a foreign concept with
That's
kids.
funny.
Well,
It
if you've got
is.
one kid, you go look them in the face. But if you're trying to do something else,
Well, I mean, it's just so different now. I mean,
just-
I literally text Leah in the basement.
of course.
And we don't. There's no calling anybody's names. Leah, come upstairs. What are you doing?
Text from.
I mean, it's
we're
weird. It's
now doing it
weird.
in our home.
I know. That's what we do now.
She's out in the garden or downstairs.
That was unfathomable,
Yes,
in the
no,
80s.
hey.
We're in Virginia. But you made me think of something that I wanted you to talk more about.
I've got a couple of things too on that.
Yeah, hold on just a
back on that
second.
one. Okay.
I wanted, because you were talking about everybody was responsible for everything.
Yes.
And it sparked something. I just can't remember what it was.
I think you hear the argument that if you have fewer children, you can do more one-on-one, eye contact, etc. But I think when you are you were all responsible for everybody, and you knew that, and I think it makes you more conscious of other people's needs and what to do about it.
true.
You were always solving somebody's problem if it wasn't
true.
your own. And if you had homework problems, I didn't get involved in that. The kid that had the same teacher the year before was responsible. You help kids with whatever they're doing. And we sang and in the car. And I just think that was such a life. And if you only got one kid, you don't have much of a choir. But in that 15-passenger van, the Yamaha keyboard was slid under the back bench. And,
That's true.
And we sang. And you cannot fight and argue if you're singing. And one time we were singing Row, Row, Row Your Boat, or Mary Had a Little Lamb, I'm not sure what, but we came up with the darndest arrangements and different parts. And but it just kind of went on and on. And we changed parts and ad-libbed a little and put a little percussion with it. It ended up to be quite a project for a long time.
That's funny.
You're entertain. Well, the reason that keyboard under the back bench, because it was all state tryouts times. And you guys did that so well in San Antonio and blew them away. But that was not an easy audition thing. Making the state choir was a real accomplishment, and you did it all the time.
Three of you.
Yeah.
So I think numbers, again, is, if you haven't done it, you cannot explain that one.
And I always tell people, have a million kids. I wish I would have had more kids. And that's the reason, that there's more responsibility. There's less selfishness. You don't even have time to worry about what you need or what you, poor me, no, we got stuff to do. We got to take care of this kid and we got to go here and we got to go there. And we had a lot of responsibilities. And I think that's missing in the society now.
It has to.
Nobody
If you
has
don't
big
have
families
to,
anymore.
You don't. When we moved into San Antonio, we had a bathroom, and you girls decorated it. I still have a hand towel from that bathroom, and Chris saw it when she was at my house. It's kind of threadbare.
Really?
Oh, yeah. And it comes through my kitchen and warms my heart because you kids pulled your money, got matching towels and matching soap dish. And I've got the soap container. I still use it. But that was just something you decided to do, and it was a surprise. And one time I was getting ready for a meeting on Saturday, and Rachel, and it was summertime, had her book and was sitting down. I can still see the green couch by the fireplace overlooking the big bar of the kitchen. And I was in and out getting my stuff all together for this very important meeting because those Del Rio people came 3 hours to our stake meetings.
Right.
And you felt the weight of nurturing them because they were so far away. But as I was making a trip in and out, I said, Rachel, I'll love you forever if you'll empty the dishwasher and reload it, which was a constant. That was a given. Someone was always on that duty.
Always
and
full.
setting the table. That was a project.
It took forever.
Yeah, and then getting the food on and the food off, and by then it was time to eat again.
100%.
Just always. And she said, you'd love me forever anyway. But she shut her book and started to work. But I just loved the comment. Aww. It wasn't a sassy comment at all. It was, she felt that way. And I hoped that everybody felt loved. And there was stuff that come up all the time. Of course, little tacky stuff that could be very traumatizing. But others would help others, and there were some times that were a little scary, but that was a real heart warmer. And again, people did that. I really needed the help then.
You really
it wasn't her assigned job, but I didn't get that. Well, that's Karen's job to empty the dishwasher, or it's not my turn to set the. You did it, and you went out and got the wood and put it in the fireplace and grabbed a pillow, and we read books. The Hidden Garden. And with your pillow.
Littlest Angel.
Yeah, yeah.
It's one of your favorites.
I get through that one, and Heidi is still impossible for me to read. But on your pillow, and one by one, you went to sleep, and by then it was time for Mom to head for bed. And if you woke up during the night, you knew where your bed was. The friends down the street, because we were a unique bunch and so loud for one thing, with the numbers. Again, when we went for a walk in the road, the whole neighborhood had to know it, and we did that a lot. That was our entertainment time to chat. We'd had a good dinner, and sometimes there were extras, of course. And one person that I met later down the road said, "Oh, you're the family that walks in the road all the time." Well, and another family down the road had just come from a family picnic, and she had a bag of, and it was a pretty big bag of chicken thighs that had been grilled. And she said, I know this is a funny thing to give away, but I knew you would have somebody to help you with getting these. So they didn't go to waste, but she said, these were just left over. I thought you might enjoy them, but that isn't something that would just happen. And we thought it was the
best day ever.
Certainly not insulting at all, but things kind of wandered our way because they didn't have a need for them, and they figured we did, and we usually did.
Sure did.
There was always somebody that needed.
Well, and you were always serving them as well. Everyone around you were always helping, always serving, always watching their kids, always bringing them food, always teaching them piano lessons. And so I bet most of them are just trying to reciprocate because the kindness that you showed them is what I would bet.
Well, thank you. That's a very nice
it's true
comment. But we did know each other again, if you have 6 or 7 kids, you've got 6 or 7 families that are instantly brought in. So you knew people. That was easy. You're Mike's mom. You're Karen's mother.
Yeah.
But the numbers made it easy.
Got it. Wow. Yeah, I don't think most people would believe that. The numbers making it easy.
If you haven't done it, you can't.
Wouldn't know. It's really hard to explain and hard to articulate for anybody who doesn't have a big family. They have no concept of what that would be like. I wouldn't. But no, we wouldn't. No. Okay. Now we're ready.
What is it? The most scary moment?
The craziest thing about your life, or something about your life that you've experienced, or whatever that you don't. Most people wouldn't believe, or that you find it even hard to believe.
Well, first of all, that I went all the way up to bird colonel.
You never thought you'd get there?
No. That's,
why?
Because there are only two guys in the whole Air Force band history had made it.
That were in the band program. Okay,
the band program, yeah. But anyway, but the scariest and the thing that was just almost life changing and shattering. We had come out of the Pentagon and got to San Antonio, and we're all set there, and the band's going well. But I had this country western band. They were really by themselves, so they weren't really a part of the band in a sense, culturally and so on. They got to the point where I was a bad guy. And so they started talking to my assistant boss, the Colonel Bailey up there. I had a general, 2-star general above him. So now he believed them. So now he's coming to me and say, wait a minute, you did this, you do that, so on. I want to hear on it. You tell me all about this and so on. And so this went on for a while. And one of the interesting parts, I went up to see him again. And he really was a wacko kind of a guy. He had no business being the assistant base commander, where you really take care of the people and don't let the general has to do. He takes care of the generals above him. That's but he was a strange dude, and so I went up once more. I wrote him a thing. Here's what we did with that incident there, and he didn't believe me. He says, no, I don't think this is right. So I went up to see him, and I was pretty angered. And I just started telling him how the cow ate the cabbage, and he backed away around his desk, and I just followed him. I just chased him around his desk. I thought, well, if I'm going down the tubes, I just get this guy. So anyway, my good friend who replaced me in the Pentagon, name is
Jetson.
Whatever his name is. He and I were really good friends. We liked each other, and we worked together, all that sort of thing over the years.
Yeah.
And so he comes down, and he comes down to do an inspection of my band. And so he comes down, and so they called him up there to my Bailey and the general called him up there for a meeting. Well, we got a lot of trouble with Knudsen and so on, and we think we might we want somebody else and that sort of thing, which means they want to can me, and so on, and. So wasn't really made. That decision wasn't made at that point. So Ray Toller, that's his name, came down to see me, and he says, well, I just came from a meeting of these people. They told me not to tell you, but I got out of that meeting that they are planning on reassigning you to somewhere else. In other words, you're going to be canned. That was like a dagger to the heart. I had done 25 years. I still had another couple of years to go or something. And here, some 3 or 4 airmen sergeants in this little country band could get into somebody up there that would come down and think I was really the bad guy. I was not, incidentally. And so my senior NCOs now got into that, and they pretty well got that all squashed, or they tried to, and that sort of thing. But so, okay. In the Air Force, we say, because we performed on Friday night or Saturday night in the officers club, and if we didn't do a very good thing, they say, well, if you didn't get a call on Monday morning from the base commander, you're over.
Oh, funny.
That was a normal statement that was made, which was true. That was true in my case, because I did that. Because the general called me in one time because we were playing too loud for them. They were seated right under the stage, and when we got down to playing the big programs. So anyway, so that was it. I just told I told my guys, said, looks like I'm going down the tubes here, and so on. My senior NCOs, the guys that were loyal to me, we were all together to run a band. You can't run a band, and just what I did. I failed on a couple of places because I ran it by myself. Another story. But anyway, so when he came down, I quit. I just told my people, run the band. It was a Wednesday or Thursday. I drove home and ready to be crucified, in a sense. It's a bad word. But because when you got a colonel that's fired, they go to the colonel's corps, colonel's thing in personnel at wherever, Randolph, and they now give you an assignment to go to Greenland. Greenland is all ice, and it's a terrible thing, and that really is to get you to retire. So now we were confronted with, okay, if I could go there, it'll be like I think it was 13 months or 18 months. I'm not sure, because it's such a bad place to be. It's ice year round, and whatever they do up there. And then what am I going to do? They're going to have a band director. What do I could manage things. I could manage the whatever, the people. So that was pretty. That weekend was pretty somber weekend. Our life is going to be really upended here. And Monday came, And I was waiting for a phone call, and it didn't come. And Tuesday, and it never came. But in the meantime, I ran to Colonel Hendricks, the one that he was now out of the Pentagon. He now worked over at Randolph as a public affairs guy. He was a public affairs guy at the Pentagon, my boss, Hendricks. So, he and I, but we're good friends, good buddies. So I went over to him and told him, what's going on? He says, look, because we were really the Tex, what do they call it? What kind of band do they call us? We were the band of the West, and the 4-star generals over there, they knew that we belonged to them, so to speak, except we were really down here at Lackland, and we would belong to these people on paper, and they wrote my OER, officer, so that's we really there, but those we worked for them, gave them good stuff. Oh, of course, everybody. I took good care of the generals. That's why I got promoted, and the airmen. So he says, "Look, Benny, I can't guarantee anything, but I will bring it up with your 2-star general." The next day, we had a gig down at there's a round building downtown San Antonio that is called the Civic Center, I think, and so a lot of the civic things are down there. A dinner, a breakfast, a meeting, a concert, whatever. So we were down there playing for something, and before we got started, the band all set up. I'm down there ready to go. I could see Colonel Hendricks working his way up to the dais where my 2-star general was sitting and talking to him. I said, "That's it. It's gonna do it or not." I never heard another word after that from anybody, and I stayed right there and retired at 27 years. But hey, that would, can you imagine, send me with 8 kids or whatever we had at the time to Greenland. Now they're fatherless. That's not new in the Air Force, but it would be new to me and us. And now you guys don't have a father. You kids are going in and out off to BYU and that sort of thing. And it just would have been a mess. And I wouldn't have gone, I don't think. I'd had to gone somewhere and got me a job teaching high school band or something. But
right.
it was scary. I was looked like I was usually put out there to swivel in the wind. So, but fortunately, the Lord was on our side, and that didn't affect our lives. Do you have anything to say about that, please?
No, she went first.
Well, about this.
Well, I have another question.
About that?
Well, I know it's really scary for you. I was not concerned.
Yeah, just figure it out.
I
Mom's like, whatever, we'll figure it out.
I figured it would be
amazing.
okay.
Whatever happens, right?
I knew it was very concerning
I
to
cannot
you.
say that. I was deathly afraid.
Yeah.
Because that Bailey, he was ready to get rid of me over those guys' dishonest remarks about what a bad guy was. Anyway, so.
Mom, is there any activity that you didn't do that you would have liked to have done? Is there anything that you wish you could have learned or done, but you didn't because you were raising kids and you were busy and, full life? Can you think of anything?
I never really yearned to be able to do something else. And I couldn't take on more. I was fully loaded, and I knew that.
I was going to say, obviously. Was there anything you can think of you would have liked to have done more of, or it doesn't have to be a skill, but
not
a hobby
really.
or anything you really wanted to do?
Nursing?
I had 3 years of nursing, but after Mike came and then Bruce came and then we moved, and it would not have worked out. I looked into it a bit, but if I had a degree, I would have been putting in some time at the hospital and not at home, and I didn't have that kind of time to get.
There's no way.
Yeah, it obviously did not work. But you did mention a phone call in your story, Benny, and in Virginia on a snowy day, and we had several great snows in Virginia, but the phone system was, they didn't get on the computer. That was telephone, on the radio. So you listen to the radio, and by 6 o'clock, they had decided if the buses were going to run. And quite a few of them were out on some roads that weren't all that well. So that was the big decision. So 6 o'clock, we were listening to the news to see if it was a snow day or not. And that was
best.
celebration time. We made snow ice cream.
Oh, my
and we had a
gosh.
slant to our front yard and
Slippery
no
slide.
snow, which is awesome. You could grab a book and get some piano time in. And but the old radio, 6 o'clock, was kind of
Was that night? I remember it in the morning.
6 o'clock in the morning.
AM.
Oh, that's
No,
what I
it
thought. 'Cause
was
I remember
no.
we were all huddling around like,
Yes.
please, please, please,
Some
please.
school-
Yes.
some
Please
buses
cancel
had-
school.
some
Please
buses
cancel
had
school.
already forwarded out.
Do
Those were the
I?
best days of my life.
For me too. I just thought it was
So fun.
the funnest. We could do whatever we wanted to. We didn't have to get dressed and catch that bus on time.
Seriously.
And some of our
someday-
bus catching was
And hold on, Dad. Did you ever think about homeschooling us? Did that
No.
ever cross your mind?
Never heard of it.
I wasn't capable.
heard
They
of it.
did not have the outside help, and to try
No.
to match that many kids on different subjects, I
Yeah.
could not have even thunk of it. But now there is so much help.
So
out
many
there.
resources and
Yes.
communities and help and shared teaching. And
And our kids loved going to school.
that's true.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
If you have a kid that just doesn't want to go, sorry, that's part of life.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
not everybody had favorite subjects that were, and that was part of your deal. You do the grades, you do the homework, because that's what we do. We don't have time to spend on a kid that's just refusing to. And thank goodness there were no problem, physical, mental. They're all little nuts, but but basically they were capable of doing school. And I don't ever remember about bullying. Did you have drugs in San Antonio?
I didn't know anybody who did drugs. I think there were the quote potheads,
There were a few, yes.
and they kind of hung out together, and they were like pretty proud of it, and they stunk, and they'd smoke in the back of the whatever. But I never saw them smoke weed. I knew they did. There was like a group of quote potheads, but that's it. I never saw any drugs.
So that wasn't scary.
Not at all.
I know kids that have been pulled out of school for bullying. They could it was not a good situation, but our kids didn't get into any of that. So, but the
They're so lucky.
homeschooling,
I was just curious. When you say we could do whatever we wanted and we had this fun snow day, I was wondering if you'd ever thought of it. Back then, not too many people did homeschooling back then. Now
No,
it's
I
more
didn't
popular
know.
than ever.
On bases, it was all just military kids.
Yeah.
That's a different.
Yeah.
That's a different.
Yeah, an American
component.
school on
Yep.
base. Yeah.
Yep.
That's cool.
when
They-
the kids were getting ready to put their lunches together and to grab their jacket, that we had a big box of coats, jackets, hats, gloves, because it got pretty darn cold at times in that early in the morning. And so if you were on your own, get your own jacket, get your library books together. And we had tried to have prayer before everybody went, and sometimes it was right at the front door, but before and the neighbor was yelling bus, and they came from the end of the block. So we had time when he started yelling. We still had time to grab a coat. But after everybody had left to their different schools at different times, I always went through that box of coats and hats to look for lunch supplies. Once in a while, I found a banana or a piece of bologna or various things that didn't quite make the lunch box.
Oh my gosh.
It was a.
I wouldn't have thunk of it, only after you find a banana in the coat box, you do that after everybody's
Every
gone.
day.
And then we had those the two little girls for daycare with Kristen. Well, we had daycare in Virginia too, a lot. But those three little girls, when they finally turned 5, but they were so good with each other. That was so nice for your one kid left at home. And but Kristen had Allie.
The only child, the one that's the only child. Where is Kristen? Oh,
Why are those names?
yeah, it is Allison.
Right, Allison Rice.
Allison Wright.
Came
Rice,
right down
yeah.
the street. And anytime Kristen left the yard, Dissel was right behind her. I always knew where the dog was. I knew where she was. And you could see a lot of the houses, or at least if you were driving out, it was really easy to find her. But where was I going with that? the three little girls.
Oh, the three little girls.
When they finally went
babysat, and then Kristen wasn't,
I
by
was
herself.
50 years old when my kindergartner went to school.
That's 1 year from now from me, and my youngest will be 19. That's so wild. That's so wild.
Well, and people think, hey, by the time you're 40, for goodness sake, you're through having the babies, but we always had the little ones and the middle-sized ones and the big ones. There was all sizes, and when we went to a thrift shop, which was really fun, I always enjoyed it because you guys were good thrift shoppers.
I loved it.
You would find a sweater or a pair of shoes or all kinds of
treasures.
And it was affordable.
It was it was a treasure.
Yes, and we'd come home and try them on. And when we went to the dollar store, everybody could get something.
One thing.
Chips, candies. And then we would go upstairs and build a fort out of those big fold-up mattresses.
The futons.
Boy, I hadn't thought of that word
We
in a long
sure
time.
did.
And we would make a nice circle and we'd sit down and eat all our dollar store goodies.
Dollar store candy in 4 seconds flat. I can't believe it wasn't completely inhaled by the time we got home.
How
did it make it home? You wouldn't let us eat it in the car? I can't believe we didn't finish it by the time we got home.
Yeah.
I don't know, unless it's all in one bag.
And then you had
I
it.
was kind of in control of the bag, maybe. I'm not
hilarious.
sure, but that was our big tea party for the day.
Yeah, I used to always keep spoons in my car because you always had spoons in the car because you never know when you're going to buy yogurt.
Well, yogurt was,
You're going to need a spoon.
of course.
That's come in handy so many times.
Now we have a salt shaker.
I have a salt shaker in my purse.
But if they had bananas on sale and a big hand of bananas and pass those out.
Yeah,
And
feed an army for $1.
yes, and bananas still
all of our
remind
favorites.
me of car food, travel food.
But yogurts, you always buy? Weren't they like 10 for $1 sometimes? That's when you'd stock up.
Yes, we looked for the sales. And I can't even remember the prices now, but when it was really affordable, and sometimes it was oranges and tangerines and something else like that. But
whatever it was.
yes, that was the time
It was like Christmas.
load up.
I loved going to the grocery store with you because I'm like, yes, I'm going to get her. What am I going to get her to get? And I was like, I'd browse and I'd wait. And I'd get all the things that you told me to get. And I knew I was going to get you to get me something good. And I did. I always did.
But you were good shoppers too, because when I sent, we did the training to begin with. You wanted the grapefruits that were the bigger ones with the thinner skin and no bruises. So and when you're buying bananas, so when we were shopping, you go get the grapefruit, you get the bananas, you get the loaf of bread, and the eggs, and check them.
You have to check them
if they're cracked on the top.
You taught us
you
that.
You guys were great shoppers, and we
that's
just
why.
Sent you out and came back while I was standing in line. Even that would work.
It was amazing. I saw a Rescue Nanny. I don't know if you ever saw that show. I never saw the actual show, but I saw one clip. And that's her. So what she does is she comes and helps people whose kids are out of control and they don't know what to do with them. And she's a British woman and incredible. And she literally comes in and she lives with them for a week. And everybody's it's real. Well, it's a reality show, so it's not all real. But she had them do that. They were so out of control every time they went anywhere. And she was like, wait a second, what, we're going to the store.
Put them to work.
You're in charge of these 4 things. You go find And so she literally trained them by doing exactly that. And I just thought, well, I knew my mom was a genius. But that's confirmation over and over and over again.
Never realized it.
Okay, sorry. I know, Dad, you're dying to tell me a couple stories. I have one more thing, Mom, because I just thought I won't forget. So you got to tell anybody who doesn't know us the story about the pool in Virginia. This is the most genius woman to ever live. So what did we do? We came up. Did we all come to you? Was it 1 or 2 of us that said, "Can we get a swimming pool?" I remember asking you if we can get a swimming pool.
I think there was kind of
was it all of us?
That approached the whole thing.
And then what was your response?
We got 3 shovels. And it was out by the tree fort. So it was just kind of a community thing. So you dig until you were tired and give that one up for the moment. But whenever you needed
every day
a swimming pool, you go into
Of course you can have a swimming pool, but you just got to go dig the hole first. And we're like, okay, run out there. I mean, dig all day long, all summer long. We never dug it big enough. It was pretty big.
It was not too bad.
It was pretty big. We put a big, huge tarp in it.
There you go.
And then anytime it was about to rain, we're like, oh yeah. And then we do the pull, the hose.
Yep.
Well,
just entertain for hours.
Kids can do anything.
The pickup had a big tarp in it
That's
to
right.
waterproof it.
That's right.
And then we
Back in the pickup, the same thing. And fill it up.
But it lifted
Hey,
it.
Dad.
All you need is a tarp. That's literally all you need to raise kids. Big, huge tarp.
And for lunches, they would climb up in that tree fort in San Antonio. And the little kids had the Joy School when Chris and
that's right.
Rachel and Brian were new to San Antonio and a little bit shy and a little bit uncertain. And so the Joy School, we had 6 or 7, and we rotated moms to teach, and we taught significant things like picking up garbage, for instance, give them all a bag, and let's go for a walk down the Oak Creek that ran once in a while.
Best.
But and to see who could get the most trash by the time you came all the way around. And then you climb up in the tree fort and you would swap this and that. I'll take some grapes and you can have part of my banana and here's part of my sandwich. But it was a social thing. It was just so fun to watch with those kids. And you'd kind of think they would be a little bit selfish with what they had. My mom made this for me, and no, I'm not going to share. I never saw that.
I never did.
It was the food was community property and
Fun. Everything was a picnic.
It was a big.
Well, you did that. I mean, you made everything an adventure.
Well, that one was, for sure. But to go around picking up trash,
That's hilarious.
That was an adventure.
Try to get a kid to go pick up trash these days. I mean, it's just crazy. The world is so different.
When the den met at our house, when I was a den mother, and Bruce, Brian was the den chief. I think that's what he was called. So he would send them all out to see who could find the biggest weed down by the Oak Creek. So we got a few weeds dug up, and the biggest
Is
one
that little
got
brute? Yes, it is. He ended up to manage 1,000 cars up in Montana. It was weeds to start with.
Oh my gosh,
That's car dealers.
Hilarious! Wow.
But you can make a game of most anything,
Yep.
and a profitable game if you're thinking ahead and make it involving. And again, the different ages, you had to keep that one in mind.
Yeah.
So that it was fun for them too, and that they could participate in, but with the different ages.
What a blast. Well, by now you probably forgot what story you're going to tell
Oh,
us.
I've been going over in my mind because I do forget.
Okay, go.
Two shorts.
Yes.
One is on Chris going to school. Well, when she was a little guy, your mother would be going to school to take kids or go talk to teachers or whatever, and so she would go along, going to school down there. Okay, fine.
Parties.
So she turned 6 or something, and now you're going to school. Okay, get your dress. So go to school. She comes home next morning. Get up, Chris. We got to go to school. Again?
2 days in a row?
What? We just went yesterday.
Well, that's a 5-year-old kid. That's a 6-year-old kid.
It was the
The other one
cutest.
is about Bruce.
Oh.
When you guys wanted to get me to buy something, you went to him because he's a cute little boy. Dad will give it to you because he likes you better than us, or whatever the thing was, So here's little old Bruce. Dad, can we go to Ramsey's or what's it called down there? Stacy's or whatever
No, Ramsky's.
Samski's.
Samski's. Yes,
Samski's.
Samski's.
Can we go down and get that? And I'd kind of say, oh, all right. So you could say, yeah, right. Yeah. So you'd get Brian to come and soften the old
Oh, it was
codger up.
Brian, not Bruce.
Bruce, sorry, Brian.
It was Brian in Virginia.
Right. See,
He was
never,
cute.
Never name your kids with
Don't ever do
like
that.
close to that. That I've never gotten able to.
Well, and I should have. Now I know that because I named my own son with BR, and I can't get it right ever.
Yeah, it's just the way it goes. So anyway,
Right. Don't name him
those
Brandon
two,
either.
those two.
When you have
Okay.
2 brothers named Bruce and Brian,
Yeah, that's
don't name your kid Brandon. You'll never get it right. Man, so many. How are we doing? You guys feeling okay?
Sure.
A couple more questions?
Absolutely.
Sure. Okay.
But
You okay? Yes, of course.
There,
Go in front door, just first right, and then first right. Yeah.
Okay.
but there was safety then.
I
That
know.
is such a concern.
I know.
Now, we didn't even
We're
have
all
to
afraid.
think about that. People came and went all the time in the house. And
Never had to worry about that. It's so sad.
We even had a little snake come in one time.
Oh,
Snake was behind the
I
chair by the
remember
door.
that. I remember that.
And so it was only about this long. And I guess she got a broom, and finally he squirmed his way quickly out
Back
the
to
front door
the
and got
door.
lost in the weeds out there in the
Yeah.
shrubbery.
Yeah. It wasn't a poisonous snake. It was just a
It's
little
probably
garden
water
snake.
or
Yeah.
garden
Yeah.
snake or something.
we never
But
saw
that's
a
interesting.
real snake.
I'm not scared of snakes, but I'm spooked by them. You know, what if
Yeah,
there's a
I don't
different-
want one to
if
touch
there's a
me,
different-
but yeah, I mean rattles. I wasn't as afraid of rattlers because I'd see them all the time hiking, but they always warn you, so I could hear them and jump out of the
Yeah.
But when you really think about it, you're not really that safe.
If you
They can
startle
jump.
them, you're snapped.
They can jump their entire length of their body. You're not actually safe if you're anywhere near one. They can jump you.
You have to wear high leather stuff here.
Well, unless
And we
the
didn't.
one day that I was hiking, there was one that was right on the side of me. And he was actually hip. My shoes wouldn't have saved me if he was coiled and
There
ready.
you go. Okay.
So after that, I really was like, yeah, I need to be more careful because I would have been dead. There's I don't have any cell service. There's no way even to get to the car. How would John get me to the car? You know, we're 45 minutes from the parking lot itself.
Yeah.
If you can't call 911 for a helicopter to come get you, how is somebody going to get me to the car in 45 minutes and then another 30 to the hospital? Yeah. I wouldn't have lived. I don't think you can live that far. If it's right here, it goes right into your heart, you're dead. And not instantly, but in 30 minutes, for sure.
Yeah.
So that's a little scary.
It's wise being smart. It's smart being wise. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't wear headphones, and we go when it's cold. Then they actually hibernate. But anyway, only rattlers can hurt you. I mean, everything else is just they're gross. I don't want to be around them, but they're not dangerous.
What's your story about finding one when you're little and they were singing? Tell that story, please.
Mama tells that story.
Aww.
And Papa and Granny were with her, and I had just kind of wandered off. We were out in the woods, and
Desert.
I came back and said, there is a big snake. Did I say it was a snake? A big thing, I think. So it wasn't.
Called
and
it
he's
something.
all wound up, and he's singing a song.
Oh.
And she said Papa jumped up so fast. Well, boy, he knew about rattlesnakes. And he said, where is it? But I had just walked past
Right
it
past
and
it.
heard him singing.
Yeah.
And he was all wrapped up.
All coiled up and singing. Well, I'm glad you didn't try to pet him.
Well,
Gosh.
But angels around, and one other story about singing around the piano, and I know I've told you this, but it was just before Rachel was born at Christmas time, and you all were preparing for singing for something special, and the big girls were in the back, and the middle size were on the side. Brian was on a very limited lap right in front of me, and I was playing the piano, and he put his feet on the front board, straightened his feet out, and he was shoving me
Feels good.
and the piano bench. I could feel the front legs leave, and my wife flashed in front of me, and the two girls right behind me just gave me a nice gentle shove, like we didn't miss a note. Shove back up, get all four of those legs on the
God!
ground, and nobody knew. And they just, again, it's you take care of things. You see the situation, and well, they didn't want to be dumped on either. They didn't want anybody falling on them. But
And she was
remember that.
leading music in Relief Society, Little Bruce.
Brian.
And she had on a full-length dress, I think. You could tell this. But anyway, so Bruce lifts up her dress and gets under there. And she just keeps right on conducting and so on, getting him out of there. Another time, she's leading and somebody's doing something, so she raises her hand to hit him, while she's conducting the tune. The reciter herself, that was the funniest thing they hit.
I'm sure it was the funniest thing they've ever seen.
Yeah, you're just nonplussed.
Yeah.
Just
keep going. Yeah. Whatever you need to do, just do it.
Well, Mike was horsing around right behind me, and the ladies were up on the stand singing, and I just grabbed a hymn book, and whacked him on the head. And, well, again, you take care of the situation. I about lost my choir.
No more singing.
So funny. Are you guys afraid of dying?
No.
When you think about death, you don't have fear?
We've had to fill out the life-sustaining statement, sign it, what's it called, whatever. And it says, when you get to the point where you ought to be dead, it's the different words they use, but do you want us to leave you on life support? And we say, no, shut it off and let us go.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to die today, but for tomorrow.
Yeah.
I'm looking to get to 95 just to be positive. I'm not probably, whatever. I don't know.
Yeah, you never know, but...
I keep up doing this dumb things. Well, I'll probably shorten that a bit.
If you can keep off the concrete with
right.
your head, that'd be great.
No more falls.
Trying to move the concrete in the driveway.
Yeah, let's stop doing that. And why is it that you want
if it's
specific, like you want to live another 10 years? Why is that?
Because this is all I know, and this is the family, and it's fun, and it's everything else. As long as I have, we called it in the Air Force, quality of life. We wanted to have good furniture in our day room and so on, so that they would have a quality of life at their break time. So that's an Air Force term. I've heard it used. But no, as long as you have a quality of life, life on Earth is wonderful and exciting, and But if you don't, there's people 20 years younger than my age that are really they're in a wheelchair and assisted living something. They just roll the dice, And fortunately, we have had good health. And just the other day, as a matter of fact, it was the going out to Costco. I kibitz with everybody and so on, and the guy. So I told him, I'm 86, and so while they were putting my stuff away, well, what do you attribute this to? Because you look great. I said, well, number one, I grew up in an LDS community family, so there's tea, coffee, alcohol, tobacco, and whatever, and then I guess we've just eaten good food in all our lives. That's it. There's
absolutely
some DNA in there too, but anyway, so that was my response.
No, people screw up. They have great DNA, and they kill themselves at age 60 all the time.
Yep.
So that's amazing. So I'm thrilled that you think that you know that. It's literally the food. I mean, we've had, gardens most of my life and fresh food and, always with the fresh food, always with as much fruits and vegetables as you could shove down our throats. And we just grew up eating that. It wasn't even weird or anything. It's just that's what we ate. And you try to give a kid a carrot these days and they won't eat it. It's just normal to us.
There's a rabbit outside.
And you have steak and you have avocados every day. You have grapefruit every day. I mean, it's just like those are superfoods. That's literally the reason why your skin looks amazing and you look amazing. You look 15 years younger than you really are.
I get that often.
But but you are on the last chapter. I mean, your last quarter of your life or whatever. We don't know how many years you have. What do you think about when you think about that day or crossing over and leaving this planet? What is it? What do you think about when you think about that? It's not fear. What is it?
Well, on the other side, there's more family over there than are here. I got folks and grandfolks and Christian Nielsen and
you're excited to see him?
Yeah.
I don't know if that's true.
I just don't want to go soon.
You have like 100 people in your family.
I just don't want to go soon, but when I get there, man, I'm going to. Who was it? Were you with us when we went up to Ensign Peak, north of the state capitol building?
I don't think so.
Well, when the pioneers came in, then that's what Brigham Young saw in a vision was Ensign Peak. So when he got to the valley,
the top of Ensign Peak is overlooking the Salt Lake Valley, right?
But it's in all the big mountains up. But there's one peak up there now that they named Ensign Peak because he saw that. It isn't anything great, but there it is, and there's more mountains behind it. But nevertheless, that's it. It's historical. And so while I was up there with your sisters, you know, I'm emotional about this stuff.
Pull that back
I'm
towards your
emotional
face.
with this stuff. And so Liz said, Dad, and obviously I'm going to get emotional telling this, but that's all right. I want you, my grandchildren and descendants to hear this. She says, they'd asked me which, from up there you can see the canyon. So which canyon did the pioneers come out of? And I'd never seen it from that point of view, but I knew which one it was. And I said, well, bear with me, I'll get through this. I said, well, that's where our ancestors, our Danish ancestors, and everybody else that was a pioneer, all of her ancestors and so on, the Luntz and the Knudsens and the Lambs and everybody else, everybody who came to Salt Lake Valley as a pioneer came down Little Immigration Canyon. That was the trail. But to me, it is... we owe a debt of gratitude to these people to the extent that I get emotional over it. Yeah, we sure do. And so I said, that's it. And nevertheless, for some reason or other, when I turn about 40, when I start talking about ancestors, I always get emotional about it. And so I kid people. I said, well, it's just my high water mark and so on. But that's what it is. So that's so even after they got into the valley, Brigham Young took them up there, and they did some certain things up there that are important in our LDS history. Yeah. So what was the question now?
We do.
I forget what your question was.
Are you afraid of dying?
Yeah.
You said no.
Yeah. But
if it's not fear.
When I finished, part of that, what I told Liz and the two of your other your sisters there, Marilyn, and I figured out who else was there. I says, I'm going to meet these people someday.
That'll be cool.
Yes.
That'll be cool.
Oh, yes.
And I want to hear stay with me.
Not meeting today.
Stay with me.
I'm not going anywhere.
I'm glad this is good for the generations.
It is.
Because I want to hear something like, because I have been involved in their history and passing it out to you and others.
Yeah.
I want to hear from them that they are
grateful.
Yes. Grateful and appreciative of what I've done.
Well, there you go.
To tell their story.
Wow.
Sorry.
Don't be sorry.
Sorry, posterity, but, this is it.
Wow.
See, I got your teary-eyed.
Well, like they say, no.
She doesn't.
No, she doesn't. No. I do.
Anyway, so that's it. I say, well...
That's cool.
I'm sorry. I have a high emotion, but I can't do anything about it. I couldn't.
There's nothing to be
sorry
about.
Before about age 40, and finally I asked a bishop one time when I was in the bishopric. I said, "Why am I so about? Why do I get emotional about all this stuff?" And he says, "Well, you're getting closer to the veil." So I said, does that mean I'm going to die? And he said, "Oh no."
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's funny.
So getting closer to
DNR. Do you know what that means?
One more time.
DNR.
Do not resuscitate.
Yeah, but there's a paper that you fill out.
We did too.
No, let us go. Hey, you don't need to be messing around with.
I can't remember.
We put them in Ronald was still my brother. Ronald just died a month or two ago, but he was in a rest home, and he had a dog for a while, but he was so far gone that he just didn't have any quality of life there. But he did make some friends in his assisted living kind of thing. Had a one-room apartment and a bed and a TV. That's all he did. He had a high walker. But anyway, But he had no choices there. But when he finally died here a couple of months ago, that he and all of us were ecstatic. You know,
Totally.
Hey, finally he's gone. He doesn't have to put up with that.
Free.
That stuff.
Not
And for us,
anymore.
we hope we die easier than that.
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, just keep shoveling snow.
Not today.
Not today, Satan. Okay, Mom. So you immediately said, "No, I'm not afraid of death." Well, what do you think of? Sometimes you seem excited. We just have 2 more weddings and a couple of funerals. I'm like, Mom, really? You don't want to hang out with us a little bit longer?
It gets harder and harder
Right,
to drag this mortal body around. And who wants to deal with that forever? And it just I've heard stories about the other side of the veil, and sounds good to me.
It does sound amazing. And, you know, John's famous line when he talks to younger people, it's like, you know, whatever their age is, he'll say, well, you know, I've been 27 before. Have you ever been 67? And so I always think of that because I don't know what it's like to be 82 or 86 and how you don't make it seem like it's hard to, quote, you just said, drag this body around. It doesn't seem like you don't ever look like you're sick. It's pain or it's hard to drag the body around. You don't act like it at all. So, and I don't know what it feels like, you know? I mean,
until you get there, you wouldn't know.
You wouldn't know.
There's no way you could explain all the old age crap that you put up with.
Old age crap.
And my mother, that thought has left me completely.
He was tireless.
I didn't.
Always.
I couldn't
Beautiful
realize that my mother was getting old. That wasn't supposed to happen to Pearl Lunt. For all that she did up to the end, the very end. Boy, she did it well. Her exit and pause, and they had Sam to take care of him, and that was a real blessing. But this assisted living stuff.
I know.
If you can't control this old mortal body, then let's trade it in.
Let's retire it.
Yes.
Get a new uniform.
Behind. Shed. Some poem that Mom used to, I don't know if she ever memorized it, but she liked poetry. But the whole thing was that these hands are not my hands. All of these wrinkles are not my, and I'm going to get more each day, but someday I will unzip this mortal suit and run through paradise. And yes, let's just trade in the old mortal body. But it's
Granny.
It's a rather sweet thought.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. You dump that mortal body, and boy, some of the bodies that are dumped should have been dumped a whole lot of time ago.
No.
And just the thing, and so those are the trials that you put up with, and you deal with what you're dealt, and until the end, you can't give up there, and you can't change that. You just can't say, "Twinkle me up, tomorrow's a good day."
I know. Can I order January 2025? I think another year would be great. Thanks. I told Leah she was just kind of working out the math about when Granny died, because I was telling her Brandon was walking and almost walked right into her grave pit. And so probably 1-ish. And then she came along a year and a half later, and she was like, "Do you think that like Granny knows me?" Like, I'm like, oh, "Who do you think sent you down the chute? Of course she knows you. You were hanging out with her before you got here." And it was just like, it was so, she wasn't alive.
What a concept.
She died before I got here. And so do you think I'm like, of course she does. Who do you think set you off? You know? And it was just kind of funny to see her little brain whizzing. Like she just like just like amazing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
What a concept.
She's the most amazing lady. That's why you have her middle name.
A real family connection
Yeah.
on both sides of the veil.
Yeah.
And we get glimpses here and there of a story. For instance, when a 4-year-old was thumbing through the photo album, and he stopped on one of them and said, "Who is this?" And it was his grandpa that he never knew. And he said, "Oh, he's the one that brought me here." And the veil was so thin.
Wow.
that, and there's some very similar stories
Wow.
and who you meet, and a relative, a grandpa or somebody, was hanging around just before someone died, a daughter or something, and so she said, I don't know why Grandpa's hanging around, but he's at my house. Is everything okay at your house? And I can't remember just how, and sometimes they linger a little bit to say goodbye to someone else. But yeah, those connections are very, very real. And sometimes they can remember. There's the lapses in the veil that's been pulled over our memory of the pre-existence. But that had to be a fantastic occasion. It's my turn. And then you hope it's a happy situation.
I would add that not afraid of dying, just hope that we don't have a lingering, painful existence the last year or two.
I know.
My dad had 18 months when he was gone here, and I would visit him with Wendell and Trish in the hospital. I'd fly in and show up, and they thought I was. Betty always shows up, and he was, he had lost his hearing and couldn't see, and so it was not fun.
No, it's not fun.
So when he died, he said, "Hey, Dad, you're gone.
See you later, honey." And
yeah, I wish. Remember that older couple that died together in a car wreck?
Yes.
And
I remember, the only reason why I remember that is because you told me, and they were like, that's the perfect way to go.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be amazing?
T-boned, and then like Volkswagen.
Like it's a 90 and then go.
Yeah, it was like a little old car worthless thing. And
same day they both left, and they were like in their 90s.
And he had a gray suit that he must have worn for 50 years because it was slick. And that means that your suit is worn out because it's slick,
He just kept wearing
but
it.
that's it. That was his suit. So
He was
it
a
doesn't matter.
physicist,
So what?
a
It's
very
just an
fascinating
observation.
guy.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Oh, yeah.
I know of and I read about it, a lady that lived in a little small town, and she knew that she was passing through the veil the next day.
She knew it?
Yeah, she knew. Somehow that was made very plain to her, whether it was her husband that came and told her or she just knew. And so she said, okay, I'll go pay my electric bill. So she stopped by the whatever place, and she just tied up a few loose ends, and she did it. But not everybody knows that the next day. But her family was gone for the most part. Her husband and older kids, I guess, and grandmas and grandpas, and there's just a time you do your thing, and you better do it well. You don't, you may not get another chance, and boy, that's don't put off today till tomorrow what you can do today. You really don't know.
You really don't know.
So if you don't get it done, you don't get it done. Forget it.
Right.
Didn't want to do it anyway.
You're dead, so it won't matter.
Yeah. You take care of it.
So don't do anything.
Well, I'm not sure that's the complete philosophy.
Dead, you won't know it, and it won't matter anymore. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
That is the cutest jacket on the back of that chair.
Yeah. Thank you. Bob Hope.
4 gold buttons on the...
Nope, I don't.
Okay, so you'll just so you can think about your answer. A couple more.
Well, I want to say something about the history that I've involved in. It's now gotten down to you. It's got down to you, and that's the reason that we're here today.
Okay, but not now.
No. I want to say that. And also, I would like to get today's date on this, in this dialogue recorded.
It'll be dated on everywhere, but you can say it if you want. It doesn't need to be in the audio.
I think part of the real joys of having so many kids is that you get to see them learn to turn a somersault and to sing their ABCs and to pat a cake and just the teeny little steps. And everybody else enjoys seeing them, the older sibs do, as the younger sibs come along. And just little progressions that they went through. They remember learning to ride a bike. They remember some of these things. So it's meaningful to the older kids and to parents. That never gets old to
see. You get to see it over and over and over. Because it's so sad when you get to your last one, and that's the last first steps. It's the last thing you're going to see. Do you need more water?
I'm just
Don't
right.
say anything amazing. The camera's not on you.
Just right.
I'm fine.
I need more water.
I'm fine.
I'm going to be right back. This one's not on, right?
It is actually.
Oh, we're still recording?
Yeah, this one has 40 minutes left.
Okay. No, we won't go. Yeah, pause it up. We won't go more than 40 minutes. Cool. Tell the story about that house you built, and then I have 2 more questions.
Okay. This is my first assignment out of Washington, D.C. I was assigned to the Air Force Band there to get training. They called me a training officer, and I figured out finally pretty soon that I was the one getting the training. I was going out with the band, being the leader of the band, and Arlington Cemetery funerals and that sort of thing, and concerts and all the good stuff. And anyway, so then after 18 months, then I was assigned to go to Scott Air Force Base in Illinois, 1962, 3 or 4, and out there then I was the assistant band director, and so on. But now back in college at BYU and before then, I worked in the home building business, as a carpenter, as a framer. I learned that. So we get to our first assignment out there, and I said, hey, we could build a house in 6 weeks or 2 months. Hey, wonderful. Now I forgot about the we part. See, so now I'm going to get out there. Oh, well, I can build one of those. We can do that pretty quickly. So I figured out what to do. Got a construction loan. I went to a bank and got a construction loan for whatever it costs, and then wrote out my own plan of what it's going to be, and bought the lot, which was a half-acre beautiful lot with a thing slated back there, and so it was. And then I started doing this stuff. I subcontracted the footing, the foundation. And then so I contracted with the brick people to come out, and that was later when we got the upper part built.
Well, where were you living while
this
you
is
had
in Shiloh,
nothing?
Illinois.
But where were you living while you had nothing but a foundation?
In Shiloh, but about a mile or two away in a little rental house.
Oh, okay.
So when Bruce and I and Brian were there last fall, we went from there. We flew into St. Louis, did the arch. And at the time, then the arch was only up here. This only wasn't full. They were building it, but I played a 4th of July event down there and below the arch in '65, 6, and then so Bruce and then we drove out to our 2 houses, the one that we built and the one we lived in, and we found the one we lived in because Mike and I couldn't find it a year ago when we were out there. So anyway, I said, well, I was in those days. I could do anything, I know how to build a house. Let's build a house. So I got a loan and bought the lot and sold the Corvair for money to buy the lot for $1,500, and I started building a house in my spare time. Well, little did I know that a one-person group to build a house you can't do it in 2 months. It took me a whole year. It took us a whole year. So, but it's all right. We did it. And
wow! Then it was time to move.
She was great with Bruce, but I still get out here on the scaffold when I was putting up the soffit, and she would hold the other end up there while I would nail this end, and then I could come over and nail this end. But she was PG, shall we say?
Oh my gosh!
But so it's a we build it thing, and I did
doing all that 8 months pregnant.
I did the total framing on that thing, and the
insane
thing, and the walls, and the sheetrock, and the painting. And then we had a friend who was our home teacher, and he was an electrician, so we got him to do the electrical part here.
Unbelievable.
And then somebody in the ward was a heater guy, home heater. So I put in a furnace, a 4 furnace. You just stand over it. I didn't know you're supposed to have that's what I came from the little house in Schofield Lane in Farmington. My dad we had 4 furnaces. Willa had them in her house too, right? Yeah, there were things. So I never thought anything about that. Just that's all you need. So he came out, put that, got it all up, and I got the roof going, put on the shingles, and got the water all plugged in and everything, the electricity put on. And all I had, and I would go down to the hobby shop and to build the cabinets on base. And I didn't know that you like we do nowadays. We build them 4 feet at a time. Mm-hmm. I built them, it was 12 or something, and then so I had got to go. So anyway, so brought them out, put them up, and so I got that up, and I still had the Lazy Susan to build, and a carpeting or linoleum to do that. Mm-hmm. So by that time I got fired essentially. That's the place where I got fired, and so I got orders to go to New Jersey to McGuire Air Force Base. 1965, I think, and so we put up a sign out on the side there, for sale, home for sale. So this couple came by whose last name was Wisnowski. Wow. Hard to forget that name.
Wow.
And so hang on to that name because the story gets better. So I said okay. So I had $12,000 in my loan for all the parts, and my price was $17,500. And they said, okay, we'll buy it. So I had a yellow pad of paper. I didn't know what to do. I wrote out a contract
freaking way.
on a yellow pad of paper, and they signed it and so on. Then they went to their people to get a loan, and he called me. And I said, no, I've got to. So can I get a copy of that? I said, sure. So I went down and he copied it.
Oh my gosh.
And we got paid, and now we had $5,000 of it's called sweat equity. No, it's really sweat equity.
Yeah.
So we had $5,000, and out of that, I wanted a Cadillac very badly, which was kind of not too good. So I bought a nice big old long Cadillac. The big one is called a what in those days, but nevertheless, Ambassador or something. And so I had a nice big long Cadillac for $2,000, and so we drove that for 2-3 years. Even drove it out here, meaning we came out from to visit the folks and that sort of thing. So nevertheless, now fast forward the clock. So we closed on that, sent off to the Air Force to seek our fortune. 2 years ago, Mike and I went on a trip to down the Mississippi. By driving, you don't take it. Well, you can, but it's not easy.
Yeah.
So we did that. Started out in Milwaukee, and Milwaukee, Minnesota. What is the big town in Minnesota?
Wisconsin, Minnesota, Minneapolis.
Minneapolis. Now there you get in. You drive down. You see all the stuff and the boats and the railroads and whatever to see. And we went to St. Louis, Nauvoo. And we also went to, did we find our house?
Find that. Yeah.
Yes, we did.
Yeah,
yes,
you
we
did.
I sent you pictures.
Yes.
So Mike is standing over there just amazed. Here's this beautiful little house.
Standing.
Brick house. And it's 1,100 feet. I might have been 1,200, but you go inside. It was 3 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. It's kind of narrow. And a kitchen and a front room, and then the basement because it was a walkout lot. So I had a big basement,
Like a
concrete frames, down there.
So
and I built the stairs and to go down there and all that. And down there then was an opening for a garage for a car. So anyway, so Mike is looking at that and he's just shaking his head. We never got to live in it because I got fired and got orders to go to New Jersey, but that was the best thing that ever happened to me, get over there and smaller band and so on. And I want you to know that, Descendants. And that was so fine. And we never thought about this thing for years, it's just, and I have a few pictures of me standing there in carpenter's overalls because that's what you did. Nowadays they wear pants and shorts and they got a belt on their side and they got all their hammer nails. No, we had to have a white suit down there. So I've got a good picture of me standing there building the floor. It's a great picture. It's historic. And I've sent it out. So anyway, we got that done and then we took off and then went off and saw the world in the next 30, 40 years. And so when Mike and I went back there 2 years ago, we stopped there and we found it. I said, I got the address because I kept the address and I even put the address in my bio book. My bio book, Descendants, look for it. It's 2 volumes. It's 1,050 pages. And it says, bringing down the house. so on. That's my bio. Look for it. It's in Family Search. Now, so Mike and I went back there and saw that, and he just But I knocked on the door. It was a Sunday, and nobody came. So now this year, I go back with Bruce and Brian and
Mike.
That's it. Just Bruce, Brian, and me. We went back this year, meaning 3 or 4 months ago, 22. And that was it. Okay, we fly into St. Louis, go up in the Arch, go out there and look, drive around a little bit around. And I went out there and I met with the band out there and told them, when I was a hot-headed lieutenant, I was your commander and so on. And there I had a half a dozen or more guys from the band interested in this story. This old man shows up and he has this kind of history, really kind of interesting. And the commander turned out to be LDS too. So there's something. And so I had called somebody from the Chamber of Commerce in Shiloh. We are looking for our home, and I don't have an address for it because all we had was a PO, a rural route box then, those days. I don't know what the address is. When Mike and I were there, all the places is all built up, and we would never be able to find it. And she was the only one in the office that day, and she says, I don't answer the phone. So she must have been the manager, but she was lovely. What's her name? Lottie Litz or something. And she says, but let me find this out. So I gave her the name of Mike's friend was what's the last name of Mike's friend? What's his name? He went down to, he always played with Johnny Pelland. I said, Pelland is the last name. So she looked it up and says, yeah, I found a Pelland who lives pretty close to what you're talking about and so on. And then I kept looking on the Amazon people or the Google people go out and take pictures of everything. And I found one on there that right there in that town that looked just like it. I said, that's got to be it. She says, I don't think it is. There's another one over here. So I sent her a picture of Bruce, little Bruce, because when her folks came out or something, we went through there on the way to D.C. We stopped there and looked at that house, and I took a picture of Bruce in front of it. That's what got us back to that house. So this lady that comes out, she says, and we looked at the first one. It was the same build, the same floor plan, an old thing with the shiplap and so on, with the garage sticking out. And I got that off of Google Maps, whatever, Google neighborhoods. And when I got there, I said, no, this isn't it, because it's on the south side of the street. I know where I'm going, north, south, east, and west. Okay, so she said, let's go over here. So she took us 2 or 3 miles over to another place, and sure enough, there was another house that had some weeds around and so on. And when we were there, it was on an empty acre. There was nothing, and the road went around all the way. And I don't know if it was even paved or not. It wasn't. No, it was just rocks or something, dirt, and so on. Kids used to sled down there, and so on. And there it was, and I could take it. So I said, okay, here's the picture. How do we know? So we looked at the one with Bruce standing in front of it in 1960 something or other, and we could tell by the porch roof that it was different than the one over there. And anyway, that was on the south side. Bingo, this is it. So
cool.
And Bruce said, okay. So I was born in the hospital at Scott Air Force Base, and so I lived in this house. And I said, yes, you did. Your first full year. Is that what it was? First full year you lived in this house. We didn't knock on the door. It looked like it was no business. We had no business to do that. So that was our thing.
Oh,
going
cool.
back and reliving life is amazing. So we've done a lot of it. So,
Mom, do you think about your legacy after you leave this planet?
My legacy is on the planet, right?
Yeah. Do you ever think about it?
Yes.
What is your legacy?
Awesome kids. And that's
right.
biggest thing.
That's it.
We watched everybody learn to turn somersaults and do lopsided handstands.
Everything.
And, just step by step, and then they grew into fantastic, wonderful people doing fantastic, wonderful things. And yes,
that's what you'd say. That's what your legacy is your family, your kids.
And we talk about people that have a glass that's half full or a glass that's half empty. Mine has always been overflowing, so I never had to figure that one out.
That's such a great way of thinking about it. What about yours?
Well, we have in the Air Force, you better be careful about reading your public, what do you call that?
The news about you, or the
the
news
the
reports.
Thing that goes the news. It has a name in that business.
I know exactly what you're talking about. I can't think of the.
Be careful. Can you read that?
Don't read the headlines.
Yeah. You don't know.
I think that's
you'll
the
think
saying.
you're more important than you really are.
Yes.
And I'm guilty as all get out for writing those kind of things. Hey, Knudsen here, Captain Knudsen has done all this, and Major and
you got the
Colonel
accolades.
and Pentagon and so on. So what? But that's the song. So I've had my pats on the back and all that in life and so on, and still getting it. They people, that thing at the my concert last November the 10th in the church's Pentagon. That's
Tabernacle.
Not the Tabernacle, but I keep that Pentagon word keeps coming up.
Yeah, totally.
It was triumphal, as Mike said. I got up there and blazed away. I put 3 hours in that score, so I knew what was going on. Did I ever already told that story here? No.
No, but
Anyway,
finish your story. I want answer the question about your legacy.
Well, the legacy again is this beautiful lady here and what she did, because there's nobody else could have done it.
Totally.
None of the. I guess I'd have to say that. None of the. I actually went through all the girls when I said I've had enough of being single. I was 24 or 20, almost 24. And I think she knows this thing because I've said it a few times. I want to get on with life. Out of all of the girls I'm dating now or have dated, who should I be looking at? Her name came up. Mm-hmm. I don't think she had seen me in months.
Mm-hmm. It's been a while.
No. I dated her more the first year when she was a freshman. I asked her in the freshman year if she was interested in getting serious, and absolutely not. I didn't come up here to get married.
Freshman, yeah.
That's what the
baby.
So anyway,
I could sing it on tune.
What you can?
I checked her out. So
But when you think about your legacy that you're leaving behind, what do you think about, and what is it?
Well, as you know, we're indebted to having been raised in an LDS family and have that kind of culture and history and religion and so on. So we're very interested in our kids and that. And we want to pass that on so that they have the same testimonies and the same interest, and the same indebtedness to the church, to the Lord, and all that sort of thing, and the pioneers and that sort of thing. So that has been important to us, and they were in debt. What's the question again? What am I indebted?
Your legacy. When you think about your legacy that you're leaving behind, or what people want to remember about you after you leave this planet, what is it that you hope people remember?
Well, I hope that they know that I was a good father and a grandfather. And then when you're a grandfather, then it's whatever the same.
Great.
So we try to that, and they can't help but remember that somehow I cut a big swath into the Air Force and all that band business and all that colonel business and so on. That was Mike said, nobody. What you did, Dad, it can't be duplicated. I think that's impossible, but under the circumstances. We had 40 bands at the time, and when I got in, and we had 20 when I got to the Pentagon. Now there's 12. But so it really couldn't be the same thing because there's not that many bands, whatever. But anyway, so the legacy of the progeny, of the descendants, and of our people, and so on. Is hope that what we had passes down, and so on. And people are frankly, active in the church and doing these things and going on and being nice to other people, even if they aren't, and whatever, and being nice folks to other people. That's our legacy of those
Good
kids.
People. Yep.
My legacy is some kind of music, but it's the legacy was I built that band in USAA in 1990, And it's still going. There's 35 years of a USAA band still there. You know, it's been run by two also retired Air Force colonel band directors, and there's a legacy. But that's not too important. But you know, it was a means of providing for our bread and butter on the table.
Absolutely.
So.
And we always knew that we had a dad that was taking care of those things. And there was a lot of things, whether it was tuition or cars or a house. We just knew that he was there working for us, and that
It's true.
it would.
We'd figure it out.
It'd be
I know
fun.
we needed more things than there was money in the account, but we always figured it out. We just figured it out. It was awesome. We knew he was working really hard to make sure we had everything we needed. What advice would you give? I don't know. Say you pass over the veil and you're gonna start sending your great grandkids down the chute. What would you give your advice either to, you know, any of your great grandchildren's who aren't here yet, or they're just starting their lives, or to yourself as a 20-year-old and you're starting off this journey? Is there any advice you would share, or anything that you wish someone would have told you, or anything that you can think of?
Well, we don't come here with a memory of that.
Well, I know, but what advice,
On the other side.
now that you're 86, what advice would you give to a younger person? It's 20, hasn't gotten married yet.
Well, for us, the restoration of the gospel and the church is the most important thing, because that's God's plan to get us back to heaven, to be in the resurrection and so on with air. So that's really the most that's extraordinarily important to us with the kids. If they choose to do something else, they're still fine people. You know, they're ours. You know, and but that's important to us. And you know, I've seen it through my mother's family, and a lot of people would eventually choose what they want to do in life, and it may not be what we chose. So we accept that. And so, what would I give people
Advice.
now? What is your plan now? What is your plan in life? You know, are you going to have a family? Are you going to have a career? Are you going to have an education? You know, and you're going on a mission, and these kinds of things. And so that's what I talk about when I ask these young people that I see in the stores that are helping me out. What's your life plan?
And you think having a plan is important?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Why?
Well, then they're just going, as my mother would say, going from pillar to post. I don't know what that means. I guess
I was just going to say, what does that mean?
Is that Roman?
Pillar to post? Is she talking about horses? Like hitching a horse?
Yeah, but you have no direction in life. You're going from here to there.
Oh.
That's what that means.
That's funny. Pillar to post.
Yeah.
The whole life.
So,
yeah.
So
I
so we talk to our grandkids in the same way. Well, where are you going with this? You know, you raised now in a tech world. What's his name? Carson, and Mal. No, what's the other grandkids that are in the tech world?
Devin, TJ. We have a lot of them.
Yeah, you know. Well, so
everyone,
so they are figuring it out. That their world is tech world, and and I've heard people you got to keep changing jobs to move up, to get really what you have coming that should have, you know, that kind of stuff. So first of all, you know, you need to find out why you are here. Why did God send you here? Once you find that out in religion, and we believe it's in our religion, then you start building a family. And then go from there, and you have happiness on this earth. And someday you'll die, and your funeral will be full of people who appreciate what you've done in life for them. That bothers me a little bit, but not much.
What bothers you?
How many people are coming to my funeral?
Because you just don't know.
See, it's funny as heck to her. I didn't say hell. But
Well, I mean, if you last another 20 years, you're going to outlive everybody.
There won't be anybody.
hey,
alive.
well, let's.
Well, we'll still be alive, but no
let's
one
get
your
it over
age.
with now.
No one your age is going to be there.
No, I thought about it.
We'll all be there, but you're going to outlive
A
everybody.
friend of mine got shot by a intruder, and here in Arizona,
Seriously?
in Phoenix. Yeah, he got shot by. He owned. He and I were together. We lived in Mason, in Farmington.
80 years ago.
Went to BYU together. He was a couple of years late older than I am, but we ended up at BYU as friends. We even lived in our house, didn't he? Yeah. Horky Chapman. And he'd been in the Air Force, and I used his Air Force uniform, because he had it hanging up there and so on. But so then he left BYU and came down here, married a lady. He was divorced, married a lady down here. Started a hawk shop. What would we call it?
Pawn shop.
Pawn shop. He was visiting his friend in Phoenix, in his pawn shop, and in comes a guy with stuck him up with a gun, and anyway, put him into the bathroom and shot him, and then he came back to shoot this other guy, and he shot. Anyway, so it's a really gruesome story, but nevertheless, I heard. So I met his widow. After that, I had my band from California came over and we performed, and so I made it a point to go visit her. And she said, he was the kind of a guy that there was a friend and a friend to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
So that just she said the number of people came to his funeral was like a stake conference, which would be something like 500 or 1,000. I don't know what it was.
Oh yeah.
So I remember that. So maybe a couple of people come to mind.
Yeah. Well, we'll just keep
joking.
having kids. We'll be a state conference.
There you
Your
go.
family's
There
going to
you
be
go.
a state conference in
I
a
do
couple
not.
of years.
No, I do not worry about that. I guess that was
That's
that was
funny.
just a throwaway comment.
No, it's just interesting. Yeah, I'm glad. I'm curious. What was the question? Mom hasn't answered yet.
I don't care
Advice.
if anybody comes to my funeral, by the way.
I don't think you care if you even have a funeral.
No? As long as I'm not connected anymore.
Right.
But every day when you wake up, you say, Lord, what can I do for myself, for the world, to make it a better place? And can I be aware of people that I especially could help? Because sometimes you can be the one to help somebody that's in your path, and lead me to that path to somebody that I could help. And you follow the Savior, and you can't go wrong with that one. And that's how you get back to our Heavenly Father and find joy. No matter what the situation is, there has to be something about it that is good. Like Tin Boom.
Corey.
Yes.
Yeah.
They
His
had
hiding place.
Fleas in their place, their dorm room when they were in prison. And they could be grateful for the fleas because the guards didn't come around because of the fleas. You've probably heard that
Right.
story. And so they were grateful for that. Be grateful for the little things, because that's the things that make the big things. But the joy is there. Find it and appreciate it and pass it on.
Sorry, one more. What is it specifically that gives you joy now? Whoever wants to go first.
I enjoy seeing flowers grow. I enjoy seeing kids grow in whatever way. If they're learning to read or if they're learning piano, you just see the little bit of progression and say, that was nice. And I was part of that, in a small way, probably, or somebody, any kind of an accomplishment. If you're a part of it, that's wonderful. Or if not, it's just nice to see somebody else grow in some way.
Dad?
Well, the real happiness is at home with this beautiful lady here. And there are some days when we are in disagreement, but then sooner or later we're
Yeah.
it's a great thing, And the other part,
That's when he listens to me.
Then that's what makes you happy, is listening to Mom?
Doing what
Just so
you're
we're
told.
clear.
next question.
Yes, dear.
And also, well, I coming out of BYU, I discovered flute. And so I gave up on clarinet and saxophone, except I did clarinet for a couple of messiahs somewhere in New Mexico. But so in recent years, of course, I had bought the best flute there was for $1,100 at the time. Now it's $14,000 for that same flute from the factory, Powell.
Right.
And so we have been, in the last 10 years or so, we have been playing nice flute things, arrangements of hymns and piano by
Jorgensen.
Brent Jorgensen. Mm-hmm. He writes stuff, and it's published by, what's the name in Utah? Anyway, Pilgrim or whatever it is. And so, and I met him and made a friend out of him, and I even I didn't send back, I'd go call him and say, can you write a second part for this tune? And I did, because there's our lady across the street plays flute. So we had duets on the same piece that he wrote and published for solo.
That's
so
cool.
I'd pay him $80 for that or whatever. More than he asked.
That's cool.
Oh, give me $60. And I'd send him a check for $80.
Cool.
You got to be careful. You learn some things in life. You make friends. Mm-hmm. So we have, so our last, so when we've sold out in Nutrioso 5 years ago, and went to church for the last time, and I was playing a nice piece. What's one of the pieces? What's the name of one of the pieces? Yeah, he is wonderful. Da, 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 da. And Jorgensen he goes through all this stuff. Then he writes going up on the just before you get to the end. He takes it up high, mm-hmm. And my lip was seemed to be exceptionally good that day. It wasn't necessarily better than other, but anyway, I just nailed it up there. Sacrament meeting. And then there's just a calm. Not this time, but another time, a bishop got up and said, that was so good. I thought we ought to have an encore in sacrament meeting. Mm-hmm. But anyway, so this one here, our last one there, as I was going out the building, a friend of mine there, he says, Benny, I cried. Probably no greater joy than when you hear somebody appreciate what you do. Mm-hmm. And this beautiful person here does a lot of things. I try to make sure I say thank you. Maybe not enough. I disagree with her at times, but anyway, we've made it this far and doing fine, I guess. See, ask her, maybe it's different, but anyway.
That isn't one of the questions.
Oh, what the question? You didn't get that question. Huh? Okay, good. Now don't ask her, because
you guys think you're going to make it another 5 years?
I may be a liar.
You ready to call it quits yet?
Eternity is a long
time.
So anyway, that worked well. We did that a few years here.
Yeah.
And then maybe 1 or 2 years in Utah. And one time, I thought the next time we were playing was 2 weeks away, and she says, "No, it's this is Friday. We're playing Sunday, and I can't get I don't practice all the time, so don't have a lip. Mm-hmm. So I can get a lip back in about 2 weeks of practicing and playing everything." And so I said, "Well, okay." And so I tried to work on it for a couple of 20 minutes here and 20 minutes there, and Friday and Saturday and Sunday and so on. And got somewhat of a lip back, because those high notes take a lip. You gotta be able to get up there. That's the apex of the tune in everything. In every kind of tune that's worth a dang, it's got an apex to it, I think. Although one tune I discovered started out with the apex and then went down like this, and that was so good. I did it in concert with the USAA band and chorus, that I did something I never did before. I said, "Ladies and gentlemen, this is one of the great tunes of the world." I forgot what it is, Thompson or something. And I want to play it again. Never done that on a concert. So I said, I never told the band either. And the drummers are back there, they're scrambling because they've already put away their stuff and got up the next piece. Why'd you? So I did. I played it the second time. Now where am I going with all this? But anyway, there is nothing, and you certainly know, because you have been a professional at the singing. You know how enthralling and give me some words like that. What's my words?
Fulfilling.
Fulfilling, yeah. See, words don't always come when you're young and beautiful like me. And so the musical world has been my high, and I started out at age 8 or 10 as the piano, the little push and pull German accordion my dad had. That's where I got started back about eight years old or 7 or something like that. So anyway, that's the happiness of family and this beautiful woman here. And what she can do and accomplish that without even worrying about it and thinking about it, it takes me a little bit longer to do things, and so. But anyway, to get to this last performance on flute, I didn't. It didn't come off well at all. I couldn't get the high notes, and so in my case, it was failure. So I unfortunately quit at that point.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Well,
No, she everything's fine with her, but not with me. But anyway, so I haven't picked up the flute since, and that's been about 2 years, I think, or more.
Well,
But
pick it back up
but
anytime you want.
We have done. I put together an octet, and we sang. This is the Christ. This is the Christ. Ya dee da 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 da, and we just nailed it. 2 times we sang it for a Friday night stake conference and a Saturday sacrament meeting, and it was beautiful. She was on piano, and we practiced in our house. And I bought books and put the music in there, and gave them a folder and so on. Put on the outside here the what's the name of our award? Silver Creek Singers or something. I go at it. No sense of just passing out music.
Yeah.
Here's your folder there, second soprano.
Awesome.
And it was wonderful. And we were going to do more, but then the new temple in our neighborhood was coming up, and that was suctioning off people to get ready and help for the open house and so on. So it went dormant. So I haven't done anything with it since, and may not. But in the meantime, started the state choir that you came down to sing in, and that was the impetus for me to go back to the colonel friend and say, yes, I really can conduct. So if you want to promote me to be invited as a guest conductor, I can do this.
Yep.
I can do this. But before that, a year before, those guys are going to laugh at me. But I didn't. I got applause. Got a standing ovation. This lady is better than any standing ovation I got. Hey.
Amen, brother. Yeah. Oh, this has been so fun. We could go on for hours, but
oh yes,
we already have. Anyway, anybody who's still listening, thank you for being here.
Yeah, if you're not 10 years older there, descendants, you're all right. You're okay. I'm looking down on you. Okay.
Anyone still listening, thank you so much for being here. And thank you for supporting my show. God bless you. And just remember that you can create the life that you love one day at a time. Thank you for being here and listening to my show. If you got any value at all, it would mean the world if you shared it and left a review. Remember, the only way to create the life you love is to take it one day at a time. Create today. God bless you.